Hello and welcome inside a balmy Ross-Ade Stadium in West Lafayette, Indiana. You're listening to WCBN sports coverage of Michigan football on 88.3 FM in Ann Arbor, across Southeast Michigan, and online at WCBN Sports on YouTube. Welcome inside the stadium. My name is Jeremy Parks alongside Chris Pickler.
What's up, folks?
Bringing you action from the Michigan Wolverines, ranked number 8 and undefeated coming into this game against the upstart and offensively minded Purdue Boilermakers, who come into this one with a 2-1 record with a season-opening loss to Louisville in a neutral site game to open up the season at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, and 2 wins since then in convincing fashion against the Ohio Bobcats in last week in a romp 35-3 against the Missouri Tigers. It is hot down on the field, Chris. We are looking at the game time temperature right now. In the air, right around 91 degrees. On-field temperature closer to triple digits. Feels like 96 at the moment. What are you looking for out of these players today on both sides to make sure that they stay hydrated and fit through these tough conditions in a surprisingly warm late September afternoon?
I mean, the on-field temperature is well over 100 degrees. We're in triple digits well over. It's about 105, 110. Listen, you just got to stay hydrated. Drink as much water as you can when you're on the bench. Get in front of those nice fans. We can see them on both sides of the fans with the mist. Those are really nice. And just keep it hydrated. Make sure you're okay. And watch out for injuries, because injuries could be at a premium today, as hot as it is.
And again, we want to give a big thanks to Evan Osterly and crew in studio back in the Gloom Tomb in the Student Activities Building in downtown Ann Arbor for the pregame show. Big thanks to Evan for being our man on the spot today with our broadcast sound engineering. Chris, another point that I'd like to talk about here, we're about 10 minutes from kickoff. We'll be going through the national anthem in a moment, but just a quick look at how this Purdue defense, a more hands-off defense, a non-rushing attack defense, how is Michigan's offense and Wilton Speight in particular going to handle this Purdue defensive attack coming into today's game?
Well, you said coming into the intro, you said they're an offensive-minded team, and it's exactly what it is. This team is known for their offense, not necessarily for their defense. Through the first 3 games, they have 1 single sack, and I think that's a big issue that Wilton Speight has had all season, being under pressure, and Purdue with only 1 sack in the first 3 games. You got to imagine Spaight's going to have plenty of time to find his receivers, his talented receivers, run the ball plenty. I think Michigan's offense is just fine, and I think Purdue's defense needs to step up against a very good Michigan offense.
Yep, and a couple of questionables out for Indiana today. They are all padded up and ready to go. The outside linebacker, T.J. McCollum, the cornerback, number 2, DeJuan Hunt, and the safety, number 5, T.J. Jallow, all padded in warmups, expected to start today's game. They were questionable heading in with undisclosed injuries. The American flag and state of Indiana flag have been unfurled, and we are underway with the national anthem. We will turn that up for you here. A rousing rendition of the national anthem here at what is expected to be a sellout crowd in Ross-Ade Stadium, the first anticipated sellout for the Purdue Boilermakers since 2008 when they had the Indiana Hoosiers here at home. The expected sellout capacity just over 57,000 in this horseshoe-shaped stadium. We are sitting just across the 40-yard line on the home side in a newly renovated press box. Happy to be on the air again on 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor and across the internet, across the globe on YouTube /WCBN Sports. Again, another note for the Wolverines today. It is well noted Tariq Black, a big wideout receiver for the Wolverines on this offense, out with a cracked foot, had surgery earlier this week. Tariq has said the surgery went well. However, he is done for the season. Chris, I have to ask you, who do you think is going to step up in the receiving corps for the Wolverines today?
Well, it's going to be really interesting because Crawford didn't do much last week. We didn't see much about Grant Perry. But I like Donovan Peoples-Jones taking over for Tariq Black. He's probably going to be that third receiver. He's going to be that freshman. You saw him score a punt return touchdown last week. Now I imagine he's going to get into the offense, and Speight is going to target him early and often and see what the freshman can do in the place of Tariq Black.
A couple other game time notes for you here as the Purdue Boilermakers line up inside their inflatable Boilermaker engine just in the southeast corner of the end zone here, getting ready to take the field. Nico Collins, wide receiver for the Wolverines, did travel and is suited up today, has the possibility of receiving a few snaps on offense. And number 6, Kareem Walker, after a long rehabilitation, is back out in full pads and was taking full reps in early game warmups. Can expect to maybe see him slotted into what is already a 3 running back attack for the Wolverines alongside Ty Isaac, Chris Evans, and Karan Higdon. Grant Perry was seen both in the slot and out wide taking snaps earlier today. Another option for the Wolverines in terms of filling the void left by Tariq Black's injury. Perry has played mostly in the slot for this season, but has some experience last year in moving outside. We'll have the possibility to do that as well again today. Chris, what's your game time key factor on either side of the ball, the one thing that you want fans to look out for throughout the call today?
Well, we kind of talked about it earlier. It's the Purdue defense. Can they get to Wilton Speight? If they can get to Wilton Speight, they can win this game. Speight has struggled under pressure all season long, and he hasn't looked fantastic. Already, he's not the best quarterback out there. Nonetheless, if they can pressure him and possibly get a couple sacks, Purdue can win this game for this home crowd that is sold out here at Ross-Ade Stadium for the first time, like you said, since 2008. They're not used to big games like this. I think you take that for granted. Us being Michigan radio, we follow around the University of Michigan. We're used to this sellout crowd. We're used to games mattering, but this is Purdue. They're not really used to this stuff. So let's see how they can handle it. And if they can pressure Wilton Speight, I'm telling you, they can not just cover the spread, they can win this game.
Boilermakers under first-year head coach Jeff Brom. Brom has come in, an NFL quarterback, a college stud at the quarterback position as well, has taken what was a triple-digit defense in terms of efficiency last season and close to a triple-digit offense, and has really turned it around into what many are calling one of the most fun offenses to watch in all of college football. And here come the Wolverines, wearing their all-white jerseys and pants with the blue lettering, with the maize stripe down the sides. As they take the field, that Purdue student section across the way from us on the east side of the stadium, backing right into this intimate space here on the Michigan sideline. Wolverines can expect to hear the Boilermaker faithful from that student section all day long. However, as we look around the stadium, quite a few splashes of maize, little bit of blue around here as well. Michigan folks traveling well for this one.
Traveling very well. This is a solid 1/3 of the entire stadium is Michigan, if not more. Lots of maize in the crowd today. If you don't count the students, it might be half Michigan fans.
Want to welcome you, those tuning in as well, awaiting the finish of the Cubs-Brewers game. They are into extra innings. So for those of you who are looking for that broadcast on Fox, stick with us here on WCBN Sports as we are about ready here for the coin toss. Team captains coming out towards midfield for Michigan. Wilton Speight, Mike McCray, and Mason Cole out there today, as pregame handshakes are exchanged. Wilton Speight taking warm-ups just about on the 20-yard line across the way from us. Purdue waiting eagerly on their sideline as well. This is a team with a lot to prove, Chris. They've had some early season success, looking to build off of that momentum. in a game that many are thinking will be one of the closest in this rivalry in a while.
Well, it looks like it's actually Quinn Nordine, the kicker down there, as the captain instead of the quarterback, Wilton Speight. And it looks like the Wolverines have won the toss, and they will defer to the second half. That means it will be Purdue ball to start the game. The crowd reacts to that positively, and we are a minute 53 seconds from kickoff. James Folk, come on out. Let's get started.
The noted Belichick call, deferring towards the second half. A final round of pregame handshakes here. A 4 o'clock kickoff, a rarity for the Wolverines these days here in West Lafayette. Brand new permanent lighting was installed this season here at Ross-Ade Stadium. That'll be important as we get later on into the evening. Not a cloud in the sky right now. And as we said, right around 96 degrees, the feel of it in the sun, and triple digits or above down on the field. Michigan will have the kickoff. It looks like they will be preparing to go from south to north with the kick. And as you said, the kickoff man, James Fogue, 23 kickoffs so far this year for the Wolverines, 15 touchbacks. Fogue's sister, a player for the Michigan women's soccer team, had a fantastic goal earlier this week at Minnesota with 11 seconds to go, trailing 2-1, slotted home a beautiful game-tying goal that sent it to overtime, a game that finished after 2 overtime periods in a 2-2 tie, with Michigan losing a lot of starters. So the Fogue family hopefully trying to build off of that week here at Purdue as we await the TV timeout here as we are set to get underway.
Looks like we're going to have Kieran Catlett and Markel Jones back. Their long as the kick return is 21 yards this season. Not fantastic. The fans are getting hyped. The student section's getting hyped. Let's get started.
Looks like we have 2 different return men back for the Boilermakers today, slightly switching it up.
Oh.
Trying to tell who we have down on the field right now.
They did change it up on us.
Looks like DJ Knox, the running back, may be over on the right side down there. And Brian Langford Johnson, another part of that 3 running back attack, also back to return for the Boilermakers. James Fogue ready to get this one underway. Kickoff at 4:17. It is up and back towards the left end of the end zone. And Langford Johnson steps back as it floats towards the back for the 16th touchback of the year for James Fogue. Purdue will start at their own 25-yard line.
It's going to be important here. Just get a couple first downs. Try to get some sort of momentum. If you can score on your first drive and keep Michigan sweating, it's exactly what you want to do. But if you can't, at least don't go 3 and out. Don't just give them free field position. Get a first down, get 2 first downs, get into Michigan territory. So at least if you have to punt, Michigan's going to start inside their own 15, inside their own 10.
And here comes the Purdue offense led by redshirt junior quarterback David Blau out of Carrollton, Texas. Part of a 2-quarterback system along with Elijah Sindelar. He comes out of the gun to start this one, looking for an audible. 2 receivers out to his right. Takes the snap, running back in motion. It's a quick flip out to Langford Johnson and a quick reverse back over to Blau. He's got open space in front of him and blockers. Back across the 40, close to midfield where he is pushed out of bounds by Tyree Cannell.
We got an injury.
A gain of 25 to open up the game for the Wolverines, or for the Boilermakers, I should say, as David Blau got it on the flea flicker reverse. Purdue known for running trick plays early on this season, in Michigan on the bad end of one to start. And as you said, an injury down on the field. It looked like number 22, David Long, was down as he is now walking off under his own power to the sideline. A rough opening for the Wolverines. Turns out to be a gain of 24 with the ball on the Purdue 49. Blau back with 1st and 10 in the gun by himself. 2 receivers out left, 2 out to his right. Takes the snap, drops back, looking right. Has room to run. Contain is Mike McCray. Pushes him over to the left as he crosses the 40 and slides for a first down and a gain of 11. David Blau on the scramble, came through a collapsing pocket. Good for a gain of 11.
Not a good start for the Wolverine defense. 2 big plays, 2 first downs. Exactly what we said Purdue needed to do.
Michigan needs to maintain that contain. Blau not the most mobile of quarterbacks, but he'll take what they give him. A rare under center snap with 1st and 10. Play action. Charging. Swings it back out over to Langford Johnson. He's wrapped up and brought down just out of bounds at the 38-yard line. A gain of just over a yard on 1st and 10. Mike McCray running him out of bounds.
That was a huge tackle there. If he didn't get that tackle from behind, may I add, that's a first down. He might still be running.
2nd and 9. Blau back in the gun. Langford Johnson behind him. Lined up just over to his right. One receiver out each side. Blau takes the snap. Is looking right. Airs it out. And uncatchable as there's a bit of a miscommunication on that one. Falls flat at the 10-yard line. Was trying to target, it looked like Anthony Mahungu out there on the right-hand side.
I'm not quite sure what the booing is for. The receiver cut in as if it was a cut route. Instead, it was supposed to be a streak. He wasn't held in any way, and that was a good no call by the refs. Big 3rd and 9 for the Wolverine defense.
Blau in the gun. 2 receivers out to his right. The dangerous tight end Herdman lining up on the right-hand side. Blau takes the snap, drops back, looking to pass again. Wolverines green pressure. He is slotted out in a almost interception, dropped by Devin Bush on the line. Good pressure through the A and B gaps from the Wolverines defensive front. Chasing him in there, indeed, was a host of Wolverines. Alongside Noah Furbush was Mo Hurst and company.
It was a screen pass, and if they would have got it over Devin Bush, which jumped up and got it easily, had they gotten it over him, that may have just been a touchdown. Great play by Bush, even though he dropped the interception. Here comes the Purdue punt.
Quick end to a promising drive back to punt for Purdue is Joe Shopper. Back to return for the Wolverines is DPJ as that one goes just off the 5-yard line and bounces with a nice backspin for Purdue. They down it at about the 7, and Michigan will have rough field position for their first offensive drive of the game.
What did we say before the kickoff? What did I say Purdue's plan was? Even if you don't score here, which would have been great, even if you don't get a couple first downs, which is exactly what they did, force Michigan to start inside the 15, inside the 10. Now the Wolverines starting on their own 8-yard line. They're going to need something big from their quarterback.
Wilton Speight under center. 2 receivers out to his left. Higdon in the backfield. Hands off to Higdon. He's got a hole up through the middle, pounding forward towards the first down. First play of the game for the Wolverines. A gain of 10 for Karan Higdon. Tackle made by Danny Izachuku.
And that is going to be a first down. Jeremy, I'm not sure if you hear the same thing I do. We're one play into it. This does not sound like a road game. The crowd is very quiet. I mean, this is not exactly a sellout showing for the Purdue Boilermakers. 1st and 10, Speight back under center. Higdon again in the backfield. Looks over, swings it out to Kekoa Crawford as he gains about 4 down close to the 25-yard line. Tackle made by Lorenzo Neal. They're going to give him 6 on that one. It's going to be 2nd and 4. But once again, I mean, you folks can hear it at home. There's a lot of Michigan fans in the crowd, and that's really taking away from this Purdue noise on defense.
2nd and 4 for the Wolverines. Speight lines up in the gun. He's got McCune in the tight end slot out to his left. 2 receivers at each end. Drops back, looking right. Pumps, and he's down for a sack. Danny Izachuku with just the 2nd sack of the season for the Purdue Boilermakers. Went right through that Michigan offensive line. Looked like he beat Nolan Ulizio on the right-hand side, the young right offensive lineman. And a wrap-up tackle around Speight's collar as he goes down for a loss of 5, which leaves the Wolverines in a 3rd and 9 position, deep in their own territory on the 19. Speight takes the snap, is looking left, swings it out over to the left, and it's intercepted. Picked off by number 2, DeJuan Hunt.
No, they're going to say it's incomplete. They're going to say it's incomplete. They're celebrating. It won't matter. It hit the ground. They're not really arguing it.
Hunt almost with a circus interception. That was a miscommunication from Speight. Looks like he was attempting to target Eddie McDoom out on the left side.
He wasn't even close to McDoom. He was not anywhere near him.
McDoom curled in overthrown. And again, a near interception from DeJuan Hunt. The Wolverines avoiding catastrophe here early. Leaves them with a 4th and 9 and a punt as Will Hart is back for the duties. On to return for the Boilermakers. Taking a look here really quick and caught just about the 40-yard line by Jackson Anthrop.
Well, this is advantage Purdue early on. They have a successful first drive that puts Michigan deep in their own territory. Michigan goes away from the run on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd down right there. Gives up on the run, goes for the pass, almost throws the interception. Just goes to show Wilton Speight is not the guy that will take them anywhere close to the college football playoff.
Trying to get Speight some early snaps, maybe a little bit of time in the pocket, something we were expecting with Purdue's defense laying off, but not a lot of time for him on the first drive. And now Purdue starting with 1st and 10 at good field position on their own 43-yard line. David Blau comes back in the gun. Rarely does Purdue like to go under center, and they want to keep it up tempo here against the Wolverines today and try and run them down. Blau takes the snap, hands off. That one to DJ Knox as he spreads across the 45-yard line down at the 46 for a gain of 3 on 1st down.
Robbins just a 38-yard punt on that one. It was a fair catch, but he could have gotten a lot more under it, and we've seen that before.
DJ Knox, the running back, still back out there again for Purdue. 3 receivers in motion out to the left. Blau back, dropping. Wolverines coming in pressure. Devin Bush wraps him up as he gets the ball away for an incomplete pass. Was trying to target, looked like Bryson Hopkins across the middle.
We were talking before the game, we were saying Michigan blitzes about 80%, and we've seen almost a blitz every single play now. How do you beat the blitz? Throw a screen. We've seen that multiple times already in this game. Big 3rd and 7 for the Wolverine defense to try to get off the field. You got to expect a blitz if you're Purdue with 4 wide.
Michigan putting everyone up on the line. The only man back in coverage for the Wolverines is Josh Metellus. Fogue drops back, but a penalty flag on the play. Looks like it'll be a false start call on the Boilermakers. It is indeed the offside call on Grant Hermans, the young left tackle on the offensive line, a redshirt freshman out of Rio Ranchero, New Mexico. Both teams with one very young, inexperienced offensive lineman. It's Elizio for the Wolverines. Out on the right-hand side, it's Hermans on the left tackle side for the Boilermakers. And that penalty will drop Purdue back to 3rd and 12. Ball is spotted on the Purdue 41-yard line. Blau takes the snap, drops back, looking long, in coverage, blotted away. Looking down the left-hand side, in coverage was David Long. Target man looked to be Jackson Anthrop down on the left-hand side for the Boilermakers.
There's a flag on the play.
Possible.
It's a chop block.
Interference. Chop block.
That's going to be 15 yards. I imagine Michigan's going to accept it, and that might put Michigan in a lot better territory here. That would make it a 3rd and 27. We'll see what happens here.
We'll await the official call from the referees here, talking to Jim Harbaugh, thinking whether or not he wants to take it. It is a chop block. Chop block on the center, Kirk Barron. The Wolverines will accept the penalty, and that will push Purdue back a full 15 yards.
And I was going to say David Long, tremendous coverage. Purdue fans can boo all they want. That was outstanding coverage, one-on-one on the left side. The chop block will make it irrelevant, but it's 3rd and 28. Michigan going to have great field position. They're on the 25. They have to get to the Michigan 47.
Blau coming out of the gun again as he takes the snap and just hands off to Knox as he falls forward for about 3 yards. Close to the 28-yard line, but nothing doing for Purdue as it'll wind up a 4th and 22. 2 late penalties from the Boilermakers, stunting that drive, pushing them back deep into their own territory.
Purdue a negative 12-yard drive, not what the doctor ordered. All of a sudden, DPJ standing on the 27-yard line. Michigan going to be in great field position here.
Now a punt from Joe Shopper. Donovan Peoples-Jones back to return. It's a short punt. Peoples-Jones with some room. He takes it. Is immediately hit at the 35-yard line and goes nowhere. Thought he had some space to make a move, but the gunner on the tackle came in with some good speed to take him down.
I mean, a fair catch actually would have put him at the 35. Instead, he actually backed up a yard. Now it's at the 34. You got to know when to just take the fair catch and know you can't make those great plays. They were coming at him pretty quickly, and, I mean, you knew from the start, at least we did up here, that you needed to take that fair catch and just put it at the 35. Don't risk the fumble. Don't risk injury. Don't risk anything stupid. It's 100 degrees down there. But nonetheless, ball in the 34, and the Wolverines offense need to look a lot better than they did last time.
2 offensive drives for the Boilermakers, 1 for the Wolverines. Michigan getting set here to get underway on offense. 10:05 remaining in the first quarter. And again, you're listening to coverage of Michigan football on 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor and online on youtube.com/WCBN Sports. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in for us today. Into the TV timeout now. And going back to Donovan Peoples-Jones, again, Chris, a young, inexperienced wide receiver, has been in the punt return game for the Wolverines since the opener down in Florida, has had some troubles in the return game, a few muffed punts that had some rough backspin a couple weeks ago against Cincinnati, but then showing signs of something special last week with a 79-yard punt return for a touchdown against Air Force to really separate the Wolverines later on in that contest against a staunch Air Force Academy from Colorado. In the middle of our TV timeout here in West Lafayette. And here in the cradle of quarterbacks in West Lafayette, Indiana, at Purdue University, home to a lot of famous names at the QB position. We've already seen David Blau, the star quarterback so far this season for the Boilermakers, out today twice. Home to former quarterbacks like Drew Brees, Super Bowl 44 MVP with New Orleans. Len Dawson, back all the way to Super Bowl 4. Was the MVP in that one with the Kansas City Chiefs. Bob Greasy, Kyle Orton, among others. This is a school with a lot of famous guys behind center. And David Blau and Elijah Sindelar, the two-man combo for Purdue, trying to get something going, but nothing so far on 2 offensive drives due to a couple of penalties.
I'm interested to see what the Wolverines come out. They're going to come out on the I formation. They got 3 backs, no wide receivers. I'm excited to see what this is on first down.
Looks like Sean McCune followed up by Khalid Hill, and then appears to maybe be Chris Evans in the back of that set there. Michigan trying to await the end of this TV timeout. The whistle has blown. We're back underway. Wolverines start at their own 34. Speight under center in the I. McCune now steps out to the right. Back and hands off to Higdon. Higdon busts forward for about 2 yards.
Looks like they're going to give him 3. They did switch to the I formation, put McKeon out to the right. Higdon had a hole. He just plugged up too quickly. 2nd and 7 for the Wolverines.
Speight comes back under center. Higdon still in the backfield, the main ball carrier so far today. Grant Perry out to the right. Kekoa Crawford out to the left. It's a quick swing pass over to Perry. He's got a little bit of space on the right-hand side, pushes his way across the 40, fights for his way to 4 or 5 yards out to the 41-yard line. Tackle made on the right flat by Josh Okonye.
And here for the Wolverines, if they can't get this, they'll give Purdue poor field position. But if they can get this and try to get into Purdue field position, Purdue side of the field, this would be huge for the Wolverines. This is a big 3rd and 3 for both teams.
And now Ross-Ade Stadium starting to build some noise here. Wolverines on 3rd and 3. Speight out of the gun, has Poggi to his left. Steps back, looking to throw. Rolls out over to his right. Doesn't have a lot of options. Now looking back right and has to throw it away. Chased over in coverage by the Purdue defense. Out in pursuit was the safety, Jacob Theineman. And so much for that Purdue defense sitting back in coverage on a 3rd down and 3. It's now 4th and 3, and the Wolverines again forced to punt from their own territory.
I mean, just an embarrassing drive there. Wilton Speight has no idea what's going on in the backfield. Not entirely sure what's going on, but the Wolverines, they need something better than this if they want to come out with the W in any of the Big Ten games that they have.
Wolverines ready for the punt. It is up. Anthrop is back and calls for fair catch right around the 15-yard line with his feet on the 15-yard line. And that is where Purdue will start their third offensive drive of the game. Still scoreless here in West Lafayette. 8:41 remaining in the first quarter. You're listening to WCBN Sports coverage of Michigan football. Chris, if you're Purdue, something we talked about a lot leading up to the game this week, an offense that needs to thrive on their passing game with Blau and Sindelar. If you're Don Brown, you've done a good job of bringing the blitz so far and putting pressure on Blau. If you're the Purdue offense, where do you turn to try and get some productivity?
You know, they've had two successful plays in this game. One of them is the trick play that they're not going to be able to get ever again because the Wolverine defense will be ready for it. The other was a screen, and I've said this earlier. I'm going to say this probably 4 different times during the first half. If you want to beat the blitz, you go with the screen pass. And that time, we've seen multiple screen passes already in this game where if Michigan defenders didn't knock the ball down, there was big gains. I think that's how Purdue wins this game. They have to get through the Michigan defense, but if they can, they're going to have a free run to the end zone on a screen pass. That's the best I got because this Michigan defense is pretty dang good.
Interesting note on that last punt. It was actually Brad Robbins back to punt for the Wolverines, taking over for Will Hart, who has had his struggles in the punting position. What was seen as a neck-and-neck race for the Wolverines headed into the year. Hart won out and had been the punter for the first 3 games for the Wolverines. But now Robbins, the upstart punter, the #1 punter in the country when he was recruited, stepping in to take the duties.
I was going to say that punt looked a little taller and went a little deeper than I thought it would. The returner had to actually back up from the 20 to the 15. That was a really good punt.
At first glance, a hard one to read. Robbins is number 3, Hart number 37. A little bit of trickery here as the 3 was what was facing us in the press box. We are on the west side of the stadium here. In the shade, looking over to the west side, Michigan in the sun. Purdue, meanwhile, enjoying the fact that they are on the home side in the shade this afternoon in a blazing heat.
Yeah, and it looks like they don't even have any fans down there. It looks like they're just fine. They're pretty comfortable. They do have a couple fans, but on the Wolverine side, they are in the sun. They've got the fans running, and pretty much the entire team is sitting down.
There was a heat advisory for the area here in central Indiana today. Purdue relaxing their rules on bringing water into the stadium for today, only trying to make sure that fans stay hydrated and that we avoid any unnecessary things in terms of this heat causing trouble. As now the Michigan defense comes back out. Interesting note, it looks like Brian Monet lining up down on the defensive line for the Wolverines. A familiar face who has had his injury struggles, trying to stay healthy and put his name back in the competition. Looked like a false start penalty on Purdue from the get-go there. And it is indeed a false start. Penalty again on Grant Hermans.
Neither one of these offenses can afford 5 yards because it seems like neither one of these offenses can get 5 yards. Huge penalties on both teams' false starts are going to be key, and then might be drive killers.
Second penalty on Hermans today. It is 1st and 15 now for Purdue from their own 10-yard line. Blau back in the gun, hands off, plowing forward for a few yards is Langford Johnson as he crosses the 15 and out to about the 18 for a gain of 3.
Some pushing and shoving after the play there. Important to keep an eye on what's going on.
Michigan defense looking to hold strong again here. A 2nd and 11 for the Boilermakers. A bunch receiver set out right. Now 3 receivers move out towards the left. Trying to disguise the formations. Wolverines make their defensive adjustments as Blau takes the snap and drops back. Looks out, swings it across to his wide receiver. It looked like Isaac Zico out across the middle. Close to the first down marker. Going to be shy by a few yards as he's across the 20 to the 21-yard line. And that'll leave a 3rd and 4. Michael Wroblewski on the tackle for the Wolverines.
That's a nice quick slant route right before the Michigan defense got to him. 3rd and 4. I've said it every 3rd down, but this is a pretty big 3rd down for the Boilermakers early on.
Blau alone in the gun. 2 receivers out right with the tight end. 2 receivers out left. He's looking left immediately. A quick swing out over to the tight end, Cole Herdman, as he had some space, made his way around. They're trying to see if his knee was down, shy of the first down marker. Herdman made an effort to bring that leg back up and get around and across the marker, but the line judge right on top of it as he deems him a yard short. 4th and 1, and an interesting decision now for Jeff Brom and the Boilermakers deep in their own territory.
Not much of a decision from the 24-yard line. Let's see the replay here. Oh, it really didn't look like his knee touched the ground at all. They might want to go back and review this one. We'll see if they can hike it.
Not really a reviewable play, though, because the play was blown dead before it could finish.
Right.
And Purdue is going to be forced to punt, so a lucky break there for the Wolverines. As Shopper back to punt, an ugly shank of a punt. Bounces at the 40, and Peoples-Jones forced to let it roll. Not a good punt, but had some roll on it, and the blitzing guys were down there fast enough to cause him some trouble, and it is spotted at the 23-yard line. And that is where Michigan will start their 3rd offensive drive of the game. As we head to another TV timeout, 6:34 remaining here in the first quarter. Still scoreless in West Lafayette between the number 8 Michigan Wolverines and the Purdue Boilermakers. This is quite an atmosphere for Purdue, as we said. They have not sold out this stadium since 2008 when they played Indiana. There have been some down years, quite a few coaching changes around these parts, but early signs are that new head coach Jeff Brom has brought some change to Purdue and is ready to turn this program around. As always, we want to thank our listeners at every break and every opportunity that we have for tuning in today. We are so happy to have you along with us, whether you're listening on air in Ann Arbor around Southeast Michigan on 88.3, or if you're at home somewhere else on the internet on youtube.com/WCBN Sports or on our website at WCBNsports.org. We appreciate you having the time to tune into us and giving us your time here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. As always, we encourage you to interact with us on social media throughout the broadcast. Feel free to tweet at WCBN Sports on Twitter. Leave us your thoughts, questions, comments, and we are always happy to reply.
Something interesting to note on that last play. First off, Herdman's knee was not down. They marked it down 1 yard short of the first down. So instead of a first down and 10, which would have been a gain of about 7 or 8, it was just a gain about 4 or 5. On 3rd and 5, they've marked it 4th and 1. And you're right, they did blow the play dead because they thought the knee did hit the ground. But something to note, as a referee, you are taught to keep the play going and review it later. So if you don't know if the knee went down, you might just want to let the play go out, and then you can go back to the review and review it again and go back if the knee is down. But it avoids conflict like the one that just happened. Purdue not getting the first down that they honestly did deserve. So we'll see what Michigan's response is. Let's see if the offense can move down the field. Each team has 1 rushing and 1 passing first down. It's been a relatively even game so far, and 0-0 early on.
About to get back underway here. Again, Michigan starting from their own 23-yard line. Wilton Speight trots back out to lead this offense, looking to get something going in terms of productivity. They're going to line up in the offset eye to get this one underway. Grant Perry will be in the slot. Kekoa Crawford will be out wide to the right. Henry Poggi in the backfield, along with Ty Isaac. Speight taking his time under center. Takes the snap. Hands off to Isaac as he busts forward and runs into a wall of Purdue defenders. Splits his way across the 25-yard line. Will be marked down there for a gain of 2 and leave the Wolverines with 2nd and 8.
Not much of a hole for Ty Isaac. He did something with nothing. Instead of a 2nd and 10, 2nd and 11, it's a 2nd and 8. It's something if you're the Wolverines to keep going.
Grant Perry lining up out wide to the right this time. Donovan Peoples-Jones in motion. Fakes the handoff to Jones. Hands off to Isaac. He's got room out to the left, and a good tackle made out in space by the Purdue defense. It was DeJuan Hunt on the tackle for the Boilermakers. There was a nice hole there for Isaac on just his 2nd carry of the game, but not a lot doing. And that'll leave the Wolverines with a 3rd and 5.
It was a good tackle. He would have had some more room had he not gotten it. Big 3rd and 5 here. The student section, the crowd on their feet. It's not too loud for Speight, but he needs to make a play. So far, he has not done that.
Speight back in the gun. Isaac to his left. Bunched receivers on the left. Kikoa Crawford singled out wide to the right. Speight takes the snap, looks for Crawford, checks back down. The Purdue defense is in there in a hurry. Speight brought down in the backfield.
He got hit late. He got hit late, and he is down, folks.
Wilton Speight is down. Trying to see who was in on the tackle for the Boilermakers. It was number 21, Marcus Bailey, who officially recorded the sack, and Wilton Speight is hurt.
He got the tackle, and he was sitting down, and a guy landed on his head. He bent in. Harbaugh right out, and folks, Speight has not gotten up. John O'Corn, it may be your time. We're not sure yet.
Wilton Speight laying on his back, Jim Harbaugh leaning over. Speight is sprawled. His legs are out wide. A scary moment here in West Lafayette as Michigan's starting quarterback is down on the 15-yard line. The medical staff are attending to him as players begin to take a knee all the way around. Jim Harbaugh, as you said, was immediately off the sideline and out to check on his quarterback. John O'Corn has now stepped out and is standing over Wilton Speight as well, helmet in hand. Speight now beginning to move his left leg and his right leg. They are bending on his own accord.
It was that late hit, and he fell on top of him. He got hit once, and he landed down, sitting down position, and a guy fell over his back on his head. He cradled down.
Falling down on top of Speight's neck was Eddie Wilson, defensive lineman for the Boilermakers. And that is a 6'4", 304-pound body bending Speight's neck forward. He has still not moved his upper extremities. And now Speight sitting up. Has his back and his head up. His feet and legs were moving earlier. And he is now going to be helped to his feet by the staff, Jim Harbaugh included.
Not sure what this offense does, what any offense does when it loses its starting quarterback.
He almost appears to be favoring one of his legs as well. It looked as though there might have been some pressure put down on his right leg on one of the tackles before his neck was hurt, and he is immediately going to head towards the locker room under the support of the medical staff. He is gingerly walking on his own power out through the south end zone and out of the stadium. And now this Wolverines offense is going to need to rally without their quarterback. Again, it was a sack recorded on the play for a loss of 11. The sack was made by Lorenzo Neal. And Eddie Wilson also in to help. And now the Wolverines punting from their own 17-yard line. Brad Robbins back to punt again. Jackson Anthrop back to return for the Boilermakers. Robbins takes the punt. High arcing punt, pushing Anthrop back inside his own 40 as he calls for fair catch and makes it. The crowd wanted interference.
They're going to get it.
And it looks like there may be a late flag thrown. Nate Shanley was the man that got right up into Anthrop's grill, and he did bump him. And we'll see after the referees confer if that's enough to put on the penalty. It will be kick-catch interference on Nate Shanley, recruited as a wide receiver for the Wolverines, helping out on special teams today. And that's a big penalty, again, as that's going to give Purdue starting field position in Michigan territory just over the 50-yard line at the 48. Make it the 47 with a final spot.
Purdue has all of a sudden gone from 10-point underdog to legitimate contender in this game. All of a sudden, Michigan without their quarterback. What can Purdue do to respond? Get a couple first downs. They've got one of the best kickers in the country. Get a field goal and take a lead in the game. Most people did not think they had a chance of taking a lead in.
Now the referee's waving for time. Appears as though we're not ready on the field trying to figure out what the confusion might be. It may be in relation to the spot of the ball. They did shift it twice. It was started on the 48, then moved to the 47, and now it's sitting back on the 48. And a fourth change as they move it back to the 47-yard line.
Free yard.
David Blau, the quarterback for the Boilermakers, back in there with Langford Johnson in the backfield. Under gun. Handoff. Switch back. Over to Blau. Blau trying to escape. Devin Bush brings him down in coverage along with Chase Winovich. That'll go down as a loss of 4 yards for the Boilermakers. They tried to run another trick play.
It was a handoff, and the running back gave it right back. Michigan had plenty of coverage downfield, even if Blau didn't get hit. He did get hit, went down. Devin Bush, great play, 2nd and 14.
It was actually the 4th-string running back, Richie Worship, back there, not Brian Langford Johnson, on the toss back to Blau. Goes down as a loss of 4, 2nd and 14 for Purdue on their own 49. Blau's alone in the gun. He's looking left. Drops back, has another hole, escapes, brings himself back across the line of scrimmage where he is taken down by Aubrey Solomon just over the 45-yard line of the Wolverines, and a good pickup on 2nd down will leave the Boilermakers in a much more manageable position on 3rd and 7 from the Michigan 44.
He stepped back, couldn't find anybody. He did a great job at avoiding that Michigan defense, getting something out of nothing. 3rd and 7, an important 3rd and 7 here to try to get in field goal range, try to take a lead.
Richie Worship, the running back, in again for Purdue. He is set off to Blau's right in the gun. One receiver outright, receiver in motion. Blau has time back in the pocket, was looking for Worship over the middle. Had him open by a couple of steps, but an overthrow long. Falls towards his feet, incomplete for 4th down.
He got hit that time, and it looks like they're going to send out the punting unit. Michigan going to get the ball and not go into a deficit, but they will get the ball deep inside their own 10-yard line if this is punted correctly.
Joe Shopper had a nice punt inside the Michigan 10 earlier in this game. Donovan Peoples-Jones back again to return. Shopper stands with his feet on the Purdue 40, trying to pin Michigan deep in their own territory. The punt is up. High arcing punt. It'll be waved for fair catch at the 16-yard line where it's hauled in by Peoples-Jones. And again, Michigan struggling in the field position game, and now coming out on offense without their starting quarterback, Wilton Speight. And it looks like it'll be John O'Korn getting the game signals from Jim Harbaugh, prepping him to go out and lead this offense.
This is huge there. A terrible punt by Purdue. Michigan gets the ball on the 16-yard line. Mr. O'Korn, let's see what you got.
Obviously, for those familiar with Michigan football, it was a 2-man race for the starting quarterback position deep into fall camps leading up to the opener against Florida and Dallas. O'Korn did not win out, but now he will have a chance with Wilton Speight appearing to be out for at least the rest of this game. O'Korn starts under center, hands off to Karan Higdon, who's met immediately at the line. Maybe got a yard out of that one. A pile of bodies inside out to the 22-yard line.
You expect the first play out without your quarterback to be a run. That's a gimme. Now this time, 2nd and 8, this is a passing down. Let's see what O'Korn can do, because they're going to need him to make at least a play here to try to get a 1st down and keep going. 13 total yards so far for the Wolverines.
Donovan Peoples-Jones substitutes into the game as he splits out wide alongside Grant Perry on the right. Speight, or O'Korn, I should say, under center. Drops back, looking long. He's got Perry out at the 30-yard line. Rifles it in there and a grab made.
Now, Jeremy, interesting note. John O'Korn was 1 for 1 for 40 yards he did in the Florida game. That was his stats coming into the game. A beautiful throw there just on a line. And the Wolverines offense gets that first down that they desperately needed.
Batting 1,000 is John O'Korn in 2 throws. Note on that play, it was not Grant Perry out wide. It was 81 Nate Shanley, who was just tagged on the last Purdue punt return for kick-catch interference. 1st and 10 at the 30. O'Korn hands off to Higdon. He bounces forward, has a nice hole, pushing towards the 40, and he will be marked down at the 38-yard line. Wolverines starting to push forward a little faster now.
Michigan offense looking good.
Tackle made by Jawan Bentley and TJ McCollum in to help.
Let's see what O'Korn can do in the I formation here.
O'Korn has Peoples-Jones out wide to the right. Has Poggi the fullback and Higdon the halfback. On 2nd and 3, 1:24 and ticking remaining here in the first quarter in a scoreless game. O'Korn hands off to Higdon again. He has room, pushes across the first down marker and more, across the 45 and out to the 47-yard line. As Karan Higdon in the last 2 plays has found a couple of holes and pushed the Wolverines forward nicely for a couple of first downs.
Wolverines, a couple first downs here. They're about to get in Purdue territory, or at least they're a few yards away from doing it. Offense looking okay, but we, of course, send our best thoughts and prayers to Wilton Speight in the locker room. We wish him the best of luck.
Another first down for the Wolverines as they are starting to move a little bit faster here. Offset I formation. Tight end coming over in motion. O'Korn looking back. Play action. Swings it out over to Poggi, the fullback. He's got space. First down and more across the 45 and out to the 42-yard line of the Boilermakers is Henry Poggi, the fullback. Josh Okonye on the tackle for Purdue.
Eddie Wilson got in the backfield there and was chasing Speight on the fake handoff on the play action to Higdon. He did not bite. It looked like Speight was going to get hit, but Poggi was found open.
O'Korn again. It'll take some getting used to have John O'Korn under center and not Wilton Speight. O'Korn under center with Chris Evans, the tailback. 2 receivers split out. Hand off to Evans. He's met immediately at the line, pushes his way back towards the line of scrimmage. Probably loses a yard on that one.
That'll be the end of the first quarter.
As time does tick off towards the end of the first quarter, a scoreless affair here in West Lafayette. The storyline of the first half, Michigan's starting quarterback Wilton Speight down with what appears to be either a neck or a leg injury, out for the rest of this game as John O'Korn has stepped in to lead the Michigan offense as they are moving into Purdue territory.
Jeremy, very good news. It looks like out of the locker room, Wilton Speight does not have a concussion. That has been confirmed. It did look like he landed right on the neck, bent that head in. It absolutely could have been a concussion, but he is in the locker room. He has not come out yet. I imagine he probably won't come in the first half. We'll see what happens, and we will, of course, keep you updated here at WCBN. You're listening to your home of Michigan student football.
88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor on the radio dial and online at youtube.com/WCBN Sports and on our website online, WCBNsports.org. And we are now seeing the race of what looked to be like Purdue quarterbacks. I'm not quite sure. A mascot race of some kind out of the Boilermaker tunnel in the southeast end of the end zone on the TV timeout break here. Michigan's offense, again, after the movement with John O'Korn coming in, has spread nicely, now down to the Purdue 43-yard line. Looks like Cesar Ruiz has stepped into the game as well for the Wolverines. Could see some action.
Very interesting to see Michigan move the ball. We haven't seen that so far today, but Michigan into Purdue territory, excuse me. And once they get into the 35, I mean, Quinn Nordine, it's your time. Once you can get to the 35-yard line, Nordine can hit from here. He's one of the top kickers in the country.
One of the big pains for the Wolverines, though, so far this season has been having to rely on Nordine after poor red zone offense, one of the worst in the country so far in terms of finishing inside the 20-yard line. Obviously, the Wolverines not that far down the field yet, but something to keep in mind is even when they have moved the ball so far this season into opposing territory, they've struggled to cap it off with 7 points. As Quinn Nordine is 11 of 13 on the season on field goal attempts. His long, a 55-yarder in the opener against Florida, a statement kick for the highly recruited #1 place kicker in the country last year out of Rockford, Michigan. The old Rockford Rams.
Of course, those good old Rockford Rams.
A power school in the high school football scene over on the west side of the state. As you may remember, was recruited by Jim Harbaugh, who slept over at his house, trying to convince him to join the Maize and Blue.
That is still a story that I will laugh at every single time. That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, of course, they got him, stole him away from Penn State, and you've seen how good he is. Well worth the sleepover.
Extended TV timeout here as we end the first quarter. So far in the game, just a recap on yardage. In terms of total yards, it's pretty much dead split. Michigan at 53, Purdue at 58. They are dead even in the pass game at 35 apiece. Rush yards in favor of Purdue, 23-18. A big difference maker. Purdue, 3 penalties for 25 yards. Michigan just 1. The kick-catch interference, a 15-yard penalty earlier on.
And another interesting note, 0 of 7, the combined third down attempts to conversion ratio. Michigan 0 for 3, Purdue 0 for 4. Very interesting to note we've got an entire quarter without a third down conversion.
Getting set to come back out here are the Wolverines on offense. John O'Korn is going to line up in the gun. He's got Grant Perry in the slot, Kekoa Crawford out to his left, Donovan Peoples-Jones out to the right, Chris Evans the tailback. O'Korn drops back, looking left. He's got Sean McCune, the tight end, out across the first down marker and across the 30-yard line down to the 29. As John O'Korn looks pretty good so far.
This is very surprising to see the backup quarterback coming in and well outplaying the starter Speight. Interesting to see what happens when Speight comes jogging back on the field, if that happens in this game.
O'Korn under center, hands off to Evans on first down. He darts across for 4 to the 34-yard line.
Purdue's done a fantastic job at stopping that up-the-middle run that Michigan is so good at doing. Chris Evans, Karan Higdon, and Ty Isaac all have had success so far this season. They've done a great job of plugging that up, forcing this Michigan team to pass the ball.
TJ McCollum, the linebacker on the tackle on the last play. And Purdue has only allowed 129 yards on the ground per game on average. Keep in mind, some of that was against Lamar Jackson and the Louisville Cardinals in their opener. It is 2nd and 5 on the 25-yard line of Purdue. O'Korn is under center. He's got Higdon as the tailback. Drops back. Whistles blow. Flag down on the field.
Timeout.
Might be a timeout.
It looked like they just got the timeout before the play clock expired. There was a lot of movement before the play. O'Korn couldn't figure it out, and on 2nd and 5, Michigan takes their first timeout.
Looked like the referee on the near sideline actually did throw his flag to try and stop the play a little bit faster. Immediately picked it back up. And it is a timeout for the Wolverines, their first timeout of the half. They have 2 remaining, Purdue with all 3.
And I know it's interesting that we're discussing Nordine right now, but it's interesting to note that Garrett Morris, the holder of the year last year, has been warming up since the start of the game. We've seen him warming up, practicing those holds for Quinn Nordine. We see him doing it again here. We've seen it all day with 2 hours before kickoff in the blazing 100-degree weather. There he is out there practicing the holds, so it's really interesting to see him working as hard as he does.
Another note, perhaps slightly more pressing to the current situation. There appears to be a shift at right guard for the Wolverines. Michael Onwenu, the sophomore out of Detroit Cass Tech High School, has switched out with John Runyon, the 6'4", 304 junior out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, has stepped into the right guard position coming out of that end of the first quarter for the Wolverines. That now leaves the line with Elizio at right tackle, John Runyon at the right guard, Patrick Kugler, the center, Ben Bredesen, the left guard, and Mason Cole, the veteran, at left tackle.
That's the blind spot. That's a really important, the blind side, that's a really important position to have a great veteran like Mason Cole. And this is a good opportunity for Michigan to go in. They got the ball at the 26, 2nd and 5. Kind of take a chance to sit down and go over what's going on. Make a couple play calls outside of this, call a couple extra plays, get the coaches involved. This could be pretty good for the Michigan offense. It seems like a waste of a timeout, and it is. But you can look at the positive side and look at, hey, Michigan is going to draw up some good plays.
13:52 remaining here in the second quarter. Michigan will have a 2nd and 5 coming out of the timeout on the 25-yard line. Looks spotted a little bit closer to the 26. And again, another thing worth noting that a lot of people have talked about as Michigan gets down into red zone territory is the play call from the Michigan coaching staff has not been optimal. A lot of questionable run versus pass down situations, shifting one way or the other from our view all season long so far. And we're just getting note from our spotting crew of Daniel Thompson and Austin Falco. Wilton Speight is a few blocks away at Purdue University Hospital having x-rays done to make sure that everything is sound with his body. Again, decent news, and there is an ambulance now returning back towards the stadium. We wonder if that is Wilton Speight, but the matter at hand is it's 2nd and 5 for the Wolverines at the 25. O'Korn out of the eye, drops back and hit immediately in the backfield is Karan Higdon. Big man on the tackle for Purdue, number 13, Jalen Robinson, I should say, the senior out of Lake Central High School, local boy from Cherville, Indiana.
I'm not sure why Michigan ran the ball up the middle there. It's exactly what Purdue was thinking. There were nobody out wide. They had 2 tight ends in. They had 2 running backs. 3 tight ends, excuse me. There was an obvious run play there, and it's getting loud.
A lot of noise here in Ross-Ade Stadium from the Boilermaker faithful. Michigan with a 3rd and long. It's 3rd and 9 on the 29. Receivers split out wide left and right. Higdon in the backfield. O'Korn drops back, gets it out to Sean McCune. He's across the first down marker and the 20. And that should be good for the first down. Out close to the 19-yard line, mark it at the 18. And it appears to be 1st and 10. We do have an injury down on the field, it appears. As a timeout has been called, it is a Purdue player trying to figure out the number. It appears as though it may be Austin Larkin on the interior of that defensive line.
Do we have a relation to Michigan's Barry Larkin?
I believe it was noted by Austin Falco before the broadcast. I want to say son, if we are not mistaken. Nephew of Barry Larkin. It looks like he has injured what appears to be maybe his left leg as he walks off under his own power with medical staff at his side. He is a starter on that defensive line for Purdue. Looks like we may see Antoine Miles, the backup, come in, a redshirt senior out of Canton, Ohio. It is indeed Miles out with the defensive unit now. Again, on that last play, O'Korn complete to McCune for 11 yards and a first down. Michigan inside the red zone at the Purdue 18.
Another one of these is no wideouts. Purdue totally expecting a run up the middle.
They line up in the I formation. A little bit of motion. Handoff over to Ty Isaac. He crosses the 15-yard line and down to the 13. A nice pickup on first down. Looks to be a gain of roughly 5. They're going to make it 6, and it'll be 2nd and 4 from the 12. 12:23 remaining here in the second quarter. Quick play by the Wolverines. Handoff to Isaac again. Trying to leave the Purdue defense little time to adjust. He's met quickly at the line, though. Maybe got a yard out of that one. And it'll be 3rd and 3.
We were talking about it earlier. Nordine, a lot of kicks when Michigan should be scoring touchdowns. Michigan in the red zone. Once again, will Nordine have to bail them out? Or on this 3rd and 3, can the Wolverines figure out something to beat this Purdue defense?
Big 3rd and 3 for the Wolverines. O'Korn is under center. The Wolverines are in the I. No receivers out wide. Khalid Hill, the fullback. Karan Higdon, the running back. O'Korn fakes the handoff to Higdon. Looking pass. Gets it out to his receiver. Over the end zone. Touchdown, Michigan.
Wow. And folks, let me just say, there are no flags on the field.
Pass caught by tight end Zach Gentry. Out in the right flat and across the goal line for 6.
It was a great pass, great play action. Once again, it was one of those plays where there's no one out wide. Purdue expecting to run up the middle on 3rd and 3. Instead, he broke out. Great play, great find. Michigan offense, my goodness, looking very good with John O'Korn at the helm.
A 12-yard passing touchdown from O'Korn to Gentry as the Wolverines up 6-0. The extra point ready to be snapped. Quinn Nordine has it up, and it is good. And the Wolverines take a 7-0 lead here early on in the second quarter. 11:34 remaining as Wolverines show they can do something in the red zone with John O'Korn at the helm.
I don't think we've seen an offensive drive from Michigan at all this season that was anything like what we just saw. I mean, Michigan looked great running the ball, but when they couldn't run the ball, they relied on their quarterback, and their quarterback bailed them out on 3 different third downs. This was a great drive by John O'Korn, great drive by the Wolverines.
Again, Gentry was recruited to Michigan as a quarterback, made the conversion to tight end, and had a nice opening in the flat, an easy throw for O'Korn, and then Gentry with the speed to gain the edge into the end zone for 6.
And you know, we've been watching this Michigan defense. I'm not sure if Purdue can get to 7 points today, and that might be a little bit of an exaggeration. But this Wolverines defense has looked really good. Even when they've started in Michigan territory, they haven't given up any points. They've only given up 3 first downs in total, and it's been very good for this Wolverine defense. And 7-0 early on. Who knows if this Purdue offense can score a touchdown against the Michigan defense?
A good offensive drive for the Wolverines has to instill some confidence. Was not paying attention to the returning ambulance over on the far end of the field as Michigan was capping off that red zone drive. Still looking for word on Wilton Speight. Would be extremely fast if that was him already returning from the hospital with his x-rays, but nonetheless, we will keep you posted as soon as we know more about that injury.
And O'Korn, how do you like this? 5 for 5, 61 yards and a touchdown. How about that?
He has not thrown an incomplete pass yet this season. Chalk it up 6 for 6.
6 for 601 yards and a touchdown.
The transfer quarterback out of Houston. If you're recruited as a quarterback at Houston, they run that air raid attack. You have to have an arm. And that was something that John O'Korn was touted for when he made the transfer to Michigan and inserted himself into this quarterback battle these last 2 seasons.
And, you know, there have been a lot of people on social media coming into this game talking about how Wilton Speight shouldn't be the quarterback, should be John O'Korn or Brendan Peters. And it's an unfortunate way of how he got to start the game, the Speight injury. But nonetheless, O'Korn proving to be the guy, at least through 1 drive for the Wolverines offense.
Final note on the drive, 13 plays, 84 yards, eating 6 minutes and 36 seconds off of the clock. A fantastic drive for the Wolverines as we are about ready to get back underway here. James Fogue back on the kickoff for the Wolverines as he runs back and puts a boot through it. Headed over towards the left side of the end zone. Langford Johnson gave chase, but lets it bounce into the end zone for a touchback. Purdue will start again at their own 25-yard line, looking for a little bit of offensive chemistry on their own side of the ball here. They've tried a few trick plays early on. Michigan was beat on the first play of the game on a reverse back to the quarterback, David Blau, but have not been fooled since. Don Brown, the defensive coordinator, throwing the best that he can at Purdue to try and slow them down early on in this one. As the drive gets underway, 11:34 remaining in the half. 1st and 10 from the 25.
Looks like Devin Bush is back in at linebacker for the Wolverines on this drive. He was out last drive.
Blau back, knocks to his right, steps back, under pressure, swings that pass out to Isaac Zico. He's got room on the left-hand side. He crosses the 35 and across the 40. A big gain on 1st down for the Purdue Boilermakers out to the 41-yard line.
Blau did a great job moving to his right, bringing all the Michigan guys with him, throwing left to the screen pass. And what have I said a couple different times now? Screen pass great against the blitz. We saw it right there.
Mark that up to a 16-yard gain on the first play of the drive for Purdue. And now a switch at quarterback. It's Elijah Sindelar back as he fakes the handoff and rolls right. He's got plenty of space. Kalik Hudson trying to give chase at that Viper position. Sindelar across the 50 and has the 1st down. Plenty of room on the right-hand side. Every receiver drifted left. The entire Michigan defense drifted left. And Sindelar with a good rollout and a big gain again on 1st down for Purdue. 2 consecutive 1st down plays.
I think Hudson was actually on QB contain, but he wasn't watching the play. He was watching the right side of the field as the left side for the Purdue offense.
Bit inside on that play. Sindelar, 13 yards on that one. He is back in the gun again, fakes the handoff, stepping back. Winovich under pressure, throws it, looking for Zico, overthrown out of the hands of a lunging Isaac Zico, a junior transfer out of the Georgia Military College. coming into today. Only had 3 receptions for 19 yards so far today for this Purdue offense. Has a few more than that. Sindelar back under the gun. Fakes the handoff to Knox again. Pressure. Gets it out to Zico. Zico has plenty of room. Tackle unable to be made by Tyree Cannell as they are all the way down into the red zone in Michigan territory. Huge gain for Purdue there. Lost in the coverage for a moment as we look down to the left-hand side.
And what kind of a play was that? What did they call there?
An easy screen underthrow to Zico.
Screen. Gosh darn it, I've told you. That's how you beat this Michigan blitz. I'm telling you. 1st and goal at the 10.
Terry Wright on the reception, not Isaac Zico. And now Purdue on the 10-yard line of the Wolverines. Sindelar rolling out right, looking for an answer. Guns it up over towards the left. He's got his tight end into the end zone for a touchdown. Bryson Hopkins. A floater off the back foot of Sindelar into the end zone as Purdue responds with force and a quick 6 points.
Michigan, every single play they've fallen for, the quarterback either rolling out right or left, right every time, rolling out to the right, drifting at one way, and then throwing the play the other way. They've fallen for that a number of times. Don Brown will be in their face on the sideline. Just a ridiculously poor drive for the Michigan defense.
Beaten up by the second in the 2-quarterback tandem, Elijah Sindelar, on a 10-yard completion to Bryson Hopkins for a touchdown. The kick is up, and it is good. All knotted up, folks, at 7 apiece with 9:45 remaining here in the first half. The scoring drive officially 5 plays, 75 yards. Chris, do you want to take a guess on the time taken off the clock?
Let's say about 1:20.
1:49 seconds.
I'll take it.
Purdue went 75 yards in under 2 minutes, stunning the Michigan defense.
It's funny because if I'm up here sitting in a booth as a college student, telling you that Michigan is playing very poorly against the screen pass, how is the Michigan defense not know that that's going to come? Quarterback roll one way, play the other way. We saw the one quarterback run. Everyone goes left. He's wide open to the right. This is very relatively basic for the Michigan defense. I'm surprised they got beat, and I do not think they will get beat again.
You have to admit, though, a nice throw off the back foot from Sindelar across his body to go over to the left and make the completion to Hopkins for the touchdown. And this game back to even. Just when the Wolverines thought they had gotten a little momentum, a huge response from the Boilermakers. Into a TV timeout now, as Michigan going to send John O'Corn and the offense back out again after a methodical 6-minute and 40-plus second drive. Their last time out that ended in a touchdown out to Zach Gentry in the flat.
See what the Michigan offense can do with John O'Corn. Let's see how he plays. 9:45 to go in this first half, and we're knotted up at 7. Both offenses looking real good on these last drives. Let's see what O'Corn can do on his second.
It was a good mixture of run and pass for the Wolverines on the last drive. Seemed to make a little bit more sense where they were running and passing the ball in terms of where they were on the field and the yardage to gain for first downs. Not a lot of the passing on 2nd and 3 or anything of that nature, and it worked to the Wolverines' favor.
Interesting to see if Michigan starts at 25. Let's see if they can get into Purdue territory for the second time in this game. It looks like each team might get 2 more possessions. Let's see how they do it in this last 9:45.
Purdue, an upstart team here in the Big Ten, trying to give the best fight they can to this Michigan Wolverines team in the opener to Big Ten conference play here this season. A little bit of thunderstruck here on the stadium PA, and the Purdue student section is going crazy. It's costume day here in the student section, something they call here at Purdue the Breakfast Club. Purdue about ready to kick this ball off. Spencer Evans has it sitting on the tee. Kekoa Crawford back on the returning side for the Wolverines. It is up. And Crawford throws his hands up as it's out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. Michigan will start at their own 25-yard line. The sun starting to set a little bit more behind our press box here as the shadow stretching close to all the way across the playing surface here. Michigan still in the sun. Purdue cool in the shade. 1st and 10 for the Wolverines as they break the huddle. Going to come up in an extended I formation here. McCune out in motion. Poggi the fullback. Higdon the tailback. Fakes the handoff to Higdon. Looking down center is O'Korn. Now scrambles. Rolling out to his left. Doesn't have a lot of room. Going to eat it and get back across the line of scrimmage out of bounds. Maybe a half yard back on that one. Nothing doing. Good coverage by the Boilermakers there, shutting down the options.
And that's the issue with having the no wide out set. When you do that play action, you should have guys open, but there's no one out there but slower tight ends, which the linebackers and defensive backs can come up on. That's what you get with no wideouts there, and Michigan had to pay for it 2nd and 10.
Looked like O'Korn might have been targeting Gentry over the middle on his first read and then looked right, tried to roll, moved back out left, and now 2nd and 10 for the Wolverines. Mike Onwenu back in on the line. A quick pitch out to Higdon. Purdue waiting for him right at the line, and it'll be down for a loss of 1. A trio of Purdue defenders led by Jawan Bentley, the leading tackler on the Purdue defense. The middle linebacker in on the play, and now an immediate 3rd and long for the Wolverines. 3rd and 11 from their own 24-yard line, and the Ross-Ade Stadium faithful turning up the volume here on the Wolverines.
Big play. If they can quiet this crowd, this would be huge going into all the way into halftime.
Kekoa Crawford split out wide to the right. Higdon set off to the right of O'Korn, who's in the gun. O'Korn drops back. He's looking a bit to his left. Looking for Grant Perry. It's popped up and intercepted. Grabbed by Purdue. Coming back across the 30. Tackle made at the 26-yard line. Picked off by Navon Mosley. The backup safety, a local product close to Ann Arbor out of West Bloomfield. 6 feet tall, 183 pounds, and it was right in the breadbasket for Grant Perry. Popped back up and into the waiting arms of Navon Mosley, and now Purdue, almost immediately after scoring a response touchdown, find themselves back in scoring position.
Looks like they'll get it about the Michigan 27-yard line. Purdue can take the lead here, and it looks like they will at some point. Michigan needs to try to get a stop. This is a big drive for the Michigan defense.
Purdue looking to go back to what worked on their last drive. Elijah Sindelar in the gun as he steps back and rolls right. Looking left, tries to check it down and just throws it into the grass as he was chased down by a combination of Devin Bush and Rashawn Gary in the backfield.
They're going to say it's not intentional grounding. It didn't look like he threw it to anybody.
I think the question would be if it got back past the line of scrimmage, which it was close to. But
that was iffy. It might have been out of the tackle box. I'm not entirely sure.
No penalty flag on the play. 2nd and 10. And now a timeout on the field. They're going to move the ball.
Oh,
back to the proper spot here. It had been placed off the line of scrimmage for some reason as it moves back to the 27-yard line.
Wow, that's a pretty clutch call by the referee right there.
Sindelar in the gun. He steps back and rolls right. Michigan in pursuit. Swings it back out over to the tight end, Cole Herdman. He crosses the 20, fighting off Michigan defenders, tiptoes the sideline. They're going to say he stepped out of bounds at the 14. Boy, did he give a stiff arm to a Michigan defender over on that near sideline to us.
I think that was David Long trying to get the tackle. He dragged him 5, 6, 7 yards, stepped out of bounds, and almost hurdled the Michigan defender.
The leading receiver on the Purdue team, their star tight end, and a combination of Bryson Hopkins, who already has a touchdown, and Cole Herdman adds to his annual tally here. And now Purdue standing on the Michigan 14. Sindelar in the gun, drops back, targeting his receiver, throws it wide, and a huge pop on Jackson Anthrop on the end of that play.
Wow, that was a gigantic hit. He led with the shoulder, which is why there's no penalty. But, oh, my goodness, and the pass was not close. It was way overthrown there.
Tried to look for the quick streak route over the middle, and the massive pop leveled by Tyree Cannell. It was Josh Metellus in coverage, Cannell coming in as the throw was coming over Anthrop's hands. It would have been out of reach anyways, but he made his hit pay. As now it is 2nd and 10 from the 14 again. Sindelar steps back, pitches it out over to Langford Johnson. Little bit of room, quickly wrapped up by Devin Bush. Maybe gets a yard out of that one, a yard or two. And now a 3rd down and long for Purdue in the red zone. Michigan would be extremely happy to hold Purdue to a field goal opportunity here. A big 3rd down and 9 for this defense. 7:04 remaining and counting in the first half. Purdue trying to take the lead in a 7-7 ball game. Sindelar looks over to the sideline. Gets his read.
He's got 5 seconds.
Langford Johnson out to his left. 2 receivers out to each side. Fakes the handoff, gives it to Langford Johnson as he just runs across the middle. An interesting play call on 3rd and long. Falls forward for a gain of a few.
Mo Hurst got in the backfield and hit him in the backfield. He fell down. They're going to give him a yard, but Mo Hurst, a great play there. Purdue is going to attempt a field goal.
A good hold by Michigan after an interception by Navon Mosley. Put them close to the red zone. And on to take the kick for Purdue is Spencer Evans. It is not Spencer Evans. It is one of the other halves of the 2-kicker combination for Purdue. J.D. Dellinger, who is 1 for 3 on the season.
Timeout, Purdue.
That is Purdue's first timeout of the half. J.D. Dellinger had been the starting kicker for Purdue. Was 1 for 3 coming into today's game. Spencer Evans was the main kicker in last week's game against the Missouri Tigers. A lot of 2 combos for this Purdue team.
Really.
2 quarterbacks, 2 kickers, 2 folks all over the field.
2 tight ends.
3 running backs, 4 if you count the one not injured. Terrio Fuller, the leading rusher for the Purdue Boilermakers, out in today's game. 2 star tight ends.
Star tight ends. Yeah. We just saw Herdman there, Hopkins the other.
Yep. And now stepping back out for the kick is indeed J.D. Dellinger.
You don't fake this, do you? Was that what that timeout was? There's no way you fake this, right?
Purdue does like trick plays. We'll keep an eye on it.
We've
here.
seen that already. But Michigan's got 2 guys standing up. There are 3 guys standing up. They're ready for it.
A 28-yard attempt. The punter, Joe Shopper, is the holder. Snap is good. Kick is up. And right through the uprights for J.D. Dellinger as he gets back to 500 on the year. Chalk it up to 3 points for Purdue off of the interception by Navon Mosley as they take the lead with 6:04 remaining here in the first half. Boilermakers 10, Michigan Wolverines 7.
Michigan very thankful. That drive started at the Michigan 28-yard line. They did give up the first down, but it didn't end up mattering. Did they get it with the first down, or was it just a 3? Was that just a 3 and out? I'm not. They didn't get the one first down. That's what I thought.
The play out to Cole Herdman.
That's right. Wolverines very thankful there to just give up a field goal. That was a poor interception. It was on Grant Perry. It wasn't on O'Korn whatsoever, and we'll make that clear. O'Korn actually made a really good throw between the numbers. The defender tipped it up, and it was picked off. So let's see what O'Korn and the Michigan offense could do. 6:04 to go, second quarter. Purdue up 10-7.
Just another quick opportunity for station identification on the half hour. You're listening to Michigan football coverage on WCBN Sports, 88.3 FM in Ann Arbor and across Southeast Michigan, and online, youtube.com/WCBN Sports and WCBNsports.org. Thank you for tuning in.
Yes,
listenership
absolutely.
is great. Business is a booming. The Wolverines trying to get back into this one now with 6:04 remaining in the half. Down by 3. The defense has looked a little susceptible to some of Purdue's offensive power. A couple mistakes as well, including the recent interception off the arm of O'Korn. And again, going back to that interception, we didn't mention this as it was a quick turnover from the interception to the start of the Purdue drive. That was not on the arm of O'Korn as an interception.
No, it wasn't.
It was right into the arms of Grant Perry, unable to secure it as it popped out and just sat perfectly in the air for Navon Mosley to take away.
Well, the defender, and unfortunately I don't have the number right now, he reached in and tipped it up. I honestly think it was on Grant Perry either. The defender did actually get his hand, you can see it on the replay, get his hand in there. It went off Grant Perry's jersey, went up, and like you said, it was a pretty easy interception. But I wouldn't even blame Grant Perry on that one. I would just give it to Great D. Forget about it, move on, and let's see what we can, the Wolverines can do on this drive.
Whistles have blown. About ready for the kickoff here. Spencer Evans setting the tee on the 35-yard line. Waiting back for the Wolverines, as always, Kikoa Crawford alongside Brandon Watson on the return game today. Or Brad Hawkins, I'm sorry, no. 20, not 28.
It's hard to see from up here.
As we get into the shade, the numbers become a little bit darker on these Wolverine uniforms. Ready for the kickoff, Spencer Evans. As he walks up and puts a leg through it. Deep back towards the Michigan end zone. Again, Crawford with his hands up, and again, the kick out of the back of the end zone for a touchback. Evans has done a good job of neutralizing the Michigan kick return game.
It'll be interesting to see if the Wolverines, even if they can score a field goal here, get tied at the half, they get the ball to start the second half. Very important to remember. They can just tie it up here going into the half. They've got the advantage in the second half.
Just got the word that the official attendance of today's game, 60,042.
That does not feel like a lot, but this is a sold-out house.
A sellout crowd here in West Lafayette. Michigan ready to get underway with 1st and 10 at the 25. O'Korn under center. Drops back. Hands off to Higdon. Higdon pushes forward for about 3 yards out to the 33. That'll leave Michigan with a 2nd and 7. As they take their time in the huddle and now come back into formation in the I. Speight again handing off to Higdon, who tries to bust outside and gets a few more yards across the 30. Down to the 29.
And we will remind you, folks, we'll be staying here at Purdue University to do the halftime show. I'm Chris Pickler for Jeremy Parks. Big third down for the Wolverines.
5:18 and counting. 3rd and 4 on the Michigan 31. Wolverines in the huddle. They break. O'Korn in the gun. He's got bunched receivers on the right. And now Grant Perry splitting out wide. O'Korn steps back. He's looking right immediately, and that is an easy read towards Grant Perry, but he is open and just a bit overthrown off of the one hand of a diving Grant Perry. He had a couple steps on his defender and overthrown by about a step and a half from John O'Korn. It bounced off of his right palm and out of bounds, and that'll end the drive for the Wolverines. 4th and 4.
Good job protecting the wide receivers there by the Purdue defense, not anywhere to go. Grant Perry was relatively open, but it was a tough throw to make.
Brad Robbins back to punt for the Wolverines. Back on the return game, Jackson Anthrop. The snap a bit high, brought down, and the kick is up. It is high, pacing back towards the 25-yard line, taken by Anthrop. He's got a little bit of room, makes a couple bounces, and he'll get about 5 yards out of that return. Out close to the 35-yard line. Mark it at the 34, where he is eventually brought down in coverage. 4:41 remaining in the first half. Purdue would love to get into the locker room with a halftime lead here. They lead the Wolverines by a score of 10-7. Both teams have 2 timeouts left. And again, Elijah Sindelar coming out to man the Purdue offense.
He's done a great job. Last 2 drives, touchdown and a field goal. Purdue's got the lead in ball late second quarter. Let's see what they can do if they can make it a 2-possession game.
2 receivers split out wide each side. Sindelar looking right almost immediately and undercut and grabbed. A push-off is going to be called. Over in coverage was Lavert Hill.
Yeah, that was a clear push-off by the receiver there.
And pushing off for the Boilermakers, Isaac Zico. And that should push Purdue back further into their own territory.
Curious to see. They might call defensive. You never really know with the referees nowadays.
We will see what the call.
There it is. It is on the offense. It's on Purdue. Oh, they're going to call a chop block. They declined the pass interference, but the chop block is accepted. So instead of the 10-yard penalty, it's a 15-yard penalty. Repeat first down. It's 1st and 25. The second chop block of the game for the Purdue Boilermakers.
I could not hear the number. We'll get that for you in a second. But again, a 15-yard penalty now puts Purdue back at 1st and 25. So again, we saw the visible push-off, but that was not the most egregious penalty on the play. The chop block pushing Purdue back to their own 19-yard line. Sindelar was ready for the snap, now looks over to get the play call from his coaching staff. Purdue utilizes the pictures on boards on the sideline.
Gotta love it.
Sindelar drops back. Michigan trying to bring pressure. Rashawn Gary with a late hit. A wide-ranging throw, and Terry Wright had a couple of steps on his defender, Josh Metellus.
It's pretty clear to me that Sindelar is not very good at throwing the ball deep. We've seen 2 or 3 shots now. He needs to keep it short if he wants to have a chance.
And now 2nd and 25 from the 19-yard line. Sindelar takes the snap, has a quick slot over, and that is called a forward pass. They were looking for the screen out to Jackson Anthrop, in and out of his hands, and incomplete. Now 3rd and 25.
My apologies. It looks like a backwards pass that went through the receiver's hands. It was a forward pass that they called. It's an incompletion. 3rd and 25. Michigan defense knows that they can get their offense the ball back with about 4 minutes left. 4:27 right now. The clock is stopped on 3rd down.
Very little time taken off on this drive. Michigan hasn't needed to use any timeouts either as Purdue continues to look to the air. A lot of clock left here in the half. 10-7 Purdue lead. 3rd and 25 from their 19. Sindelar takes the snap, looking out to the right. It is caught, but immediately brought down by Devin Bush. Jackson Anthrop on the reception.
Devin Bush doing a great job there. He was right on the receiver. 4th and 25, and just like that, the Michigan defense, after the chop block, gets the stop, and DPJ ready to return, standing at the 41-yard line. Under 4 minutes to go, 2nd quarter.
No gain on that final play of the drive. Purdue will punt. Joe Shopper standing on his own 5-yard line. Peoples-Jones standing just beyond the Michigan 45. The kick is up. Coverage is good and coming in. Peoples-Jones will wave for fair catch. Close to the 50-yard line. They will start in Michigan territory right around the 48-yard line.
Wow.
Good position. Michigan will try their best to put some points on the board before the half with 3:42 remaining. Down 3.
This has been a great showing by Michigan after giving up a couple scores. It's a great stop. 3:42. Let's see if Michigan can get on the board, tie it, or take the lead at the half. And I've said this a million times. I'll say it a million times more. Michigan ball at the start of the second quarter. Half. At the start of the second half.
John O'Korn under center. Karan Higdon is his back. Grant Perry is out wide to the left. He now switches inwards. Gentry and McCune bunch up with him on the left. Crawford on the right. Immediate screen over to Crawford. He's trying to work over on Okonye, and he gets out across into Purdue territory at the 45-yard line. A gain of 6. Make it 7 on 1st down.
And right here would be a 62-yard field goal. Where are you at, Quinn Nordine? Let's see it.
O'Korn back under center. Quick pitch over to Higdon. That is almost blown up in the backfield, but I think he's able to get his way almost back to the line of scrimmage. Probably a loss of 1. Blown up quickly on the pitch. Coming in on the coverage was DeJuan Hunt. And Higdon was able to avoid the initial tackle and dive forward for another yard or two. It's a loss of 1, 3rd and 4 from the Purdue 45.
That's a gracious 4. It's 3rd and 5, if not 3rd and 5.5. Yep, they just changed it. Big play for O'Korn. Let's see what he's got. He's going to have to throw the ball. It's a passing down.
O'Korn in the gun. Crawford out wide to the left. Peoples-Jones out wide to the right. Perry in the slot. Higdon the back to the right. Takes the snap. Is looking over the middle. Now looks left and brought over in pressure, and he's going to be brought down in the backfield. A huge sack by the substitute, the backup lineman Antoine Miles, in on the sack, covering for an injured Austin Larkin, and a Purdue team that only came into the game with 1 sack all season long, able to quickly end the Michigan drive in the backfield. And that was a quick end to the drive for Michigan.
Couldn't find a receiver right away, and he just took too much time. Nothing he could really do but just go down.
Punting again, Brad Robbins, Jackson Anthrop to return. Just under 2 minutes and ticking here in the first half. The punt is up. Skied. Fair catch called for just outside the 20. And it will be called at the 21-yard line. We'll see what Purdue decides to do with 1 minute and 50 seconds left on the clock. They hold 2 timeouts.
Michigan holding 2 timeouts as well. You got to wonder if they get a stop on first down, didn't they maybe use the timeouts to try to get the ball back? We've seen in the past that Harbaugh does not like to do that. We'll see what he does here. Let's see if the Michigan defense can maybe get a turnover or a big stop on first down. We'll see what happens.
We'll see how conservative Purdue decides to play here. Sindelar again. Blau has spent the vast majority of the second quarter, if not all of the second quarter, on the bench in favor of Sindelar, who led the 1 touchdown drive for Purdue in the half with a 10-yard touchdown pass to his tight end. The backup tight end, Bryson Hopkins, part of that nice duo with Cole Herdman. And they start from their own 21. Handoff across the line of scrimmage and down for maybe a yard or 2 is Langford Johnson.
Mo Hurst, a great stop there. And it looks like Purdue is going to be pretty conservative. We'll see if Michigan uses their 2 timeouts, one of their 2 timeouts on second down.
Brian Monet substituting out of the game. Back in for the Wolverines. And now Sindelar taking his time, giving a read. He's got Richie Worship in the backfield.
Free play.
Flag on the play. It will be free. A pass thrown out over towards his receiver. A bobbled catch and caught. What a catch made over on the left flat. In coverage for the Wolverines was David Long, and the grab secured by the Boilermakers. It was Anthony Mahungu out on the left-hand side. First down for Purdue, close to midfield. It was a free play, and they took advantage, and now with 1 minute and 12 seconds left, Purdue with their sights set a little bit higher, almost into Michigan territory. Sindelar out of the gun, takes the snap, rolling right. Winovich being held, now throws up a prayer, and that will go long, shoved to the ground.
No, he went down. He did not get touched.
Lavert Hill gave a bit of a push to Terry Wright. There was also a hard hold by the Purdue offensive line on Chase Winovich, who was trying to pursue Sindelar, but in spite of both of those, no flags on the play.
Oh, yeah, the receiver just lost his footing. The Purdue fans are going to look at the replay and think that he got hit and knocked down. He did not. He lost his footing. That's why there was no penalty.
By the sound of the crowd, they don't think he lost his footing.
Quite clearly.
And it is 2nd and 10, ball on the Purdue 47 with 58 seconds left. Sindelar in the gun. Hands off. Covering over towards the left and down across the 50-yard line for a few. Tackle made by Aubrey Solomon. The running back Richie Worship on the play.
We'll see how fast Purdue goes here. This is 3rd down.
3rd and 6. Michigan still has not used a timeout. Don't seem too interested in getting the ball back at this point, maybe playing for halftime adjustments. 3rd and 6 on the Purdue 49, or the Michigan 49, I should say. Sindelar takes the snap. He's looking right. He now escapes out, fumbles it, picks it back up. It was popped loose by Mo Hurst and immediately picked back up.
Timeout Michigan. Harbaugh called the timeout with 23 seconds. He wants DPJ to get a chance at this one.
4th and 7. The The ball sitting at midfield after the recovered fumble. And a good knock with the bat of the hand from Mo Hurst, who no matter how this Michigan defense plays, game in and game out, is an absolute force on the defensive line for the Wolverines.
Absolutely.
The senior out of Westwood, Massachusetts. And now we will have a brief break with 23 seconds remaining in the half. Michigan has one timeout. Purdue will have to punt. The ball sits on the 50-yard line. And as you said, maybe trying to give an opportunity for Donovan Peoples-Jones to showcase some of that talent.
Well, we saw in the state game 2 years ago, I'm so sorry to bring that up, but we saw in the state game 2 years ago, they could just be doing an all-out blitz to the punter, trying to block the punt here, just sending DPJ out, just trying to block this one and see if they can maybe get a Nordine field goal. The punter is on the Purdue 35-yard line.
And back to punt, Joe Shopper. He stands on the Purdue 35, Peoples-Jones just inside the Michigan 15. The snap. It is up, taking his time. A lot of hang time on that one. And allows it to bounce as Purdue will not down it. Now grabbed by Peoples-Jones at the very end there and got a couple yards extra out of it at the very end. It bounced at about the 32-yard line, collected and run out of bounds. Close to that, maybe call it the 33. We'll see where the official spot is. They're actually going to spot it where they think Purdue touched it first at the 28-yard line. So Michigan with a couple plays here. Odds that they actually try and throw the ball.
About zero. About zero. We're just going to take that knee. Michigan just takes the knee. 10-7 Purdue at the half. Not great. Get the ball to start the second half. O'Korn's your quarterback now. We'll see what happens.
O'Korn's going to line up in the gun with Chris Evans to his right. He has Perry in the slot. He has Peoples-Jones out to the right. And another receiver out wide to the left. Looking over, hands it off to Evans. Trying to get a good block there and does. Back out and out of bounds at the 38-yard line. Close to a first down, actually, on that give with 9 seconds remaining in the half.
Now the question is, how far can O'Korn throw it? Because he's coming to talk to Jim Harbaugh right now.
Not sure the odds they would actually try and go for the end zone here, Chris, but we'll see what they do coming out of the huddle.
I mean, I don't either, but with 9 seconds, you could get 10 yards, call timeout, and then try to do it. I don't really know what's going on right now. I don't agree what's going on, but whatever, we'll see what happens.
Field goal range for the Wolverines would be about the 35-yard line for Quinn Nordine.
They're going to throw the ball
out of the gun. He looks long. He's got Peoples-Jones out on the right. And just batted away at the last moment by Josh Okonye in coverage. Peoples-Jones had a step on him and just a hair underthrown by O'Korn. A gutsy play call for Michigan. I didn't think they would go for it, but they did. And now 3 seconds left in the half with Michigan sitting on their own 38. Purdue leads 10-7. As we are about to head into halftime here, we'll see what the Wolverines have. They line up in the gun.
I love this.
Perry again in the slot. Receivers out wide, left and right. And the snap. O'Korn's going to step up. Looking left and right. He ducks and gets the throw out to Evans. Crosses midfield as he runs over the 50. Cross the 45. He will be met by Purdue defenders at the Purdue 38. And that'll do it for the first half. The tackle made by Antonio Blackman to end it here in the second quarter. Purdue to a raucous crowd noise here will head into the locker room with a 10-7 halftime lead over the Michigan Wolverines. Again, you're listening to Michigan football coverage on 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor. Alongside Chris Pickler, I am Jeremy Parks. We would also like to take this opportunity to now welcome you into the WCBN Sports Halftime Show. As we said earlier, Purdue leads 10-7. And it's been a lot going on in the first half, Chris. I think the main storyline for Michigan fans will be Wilton Speight going down in the first quarter and John O'Korn coming in replacement. Not too bad.
You know, John O'Korn has come in. He's stepped up. He's made good throws. He's made good decisions. This could be a tie game right now if the defender didn't make the accidental play that he did. He was trying to keep up with DPJ. His hand just happened to hit the football and go down, just miss for DPJ. There, listen, we've seen the screen passes. We haven't seen the blitz come to the Purdue quarterbacks. I'm not even sure if there's been a sack so far. on the Michigan defense, but the Purdue defense is getting to O'Korn. They got to Speight. That's how Speight got hurt. They've gotten to O'Korn. O'Korn's looked pretty good in the first half, but they're going to need more than pretty good to beat this Purdue team, who's looked a lot better than we thought they would be.
Michigan does have 1 sack so far on the afternoon, but O'Korn 7 of 10, 92 yards and a touchdown to go along with the interception taken by Navon Mosley earlier. And we will give you the scoring recap from the drives earlier that game. Michigan got out to a 7-0 lead, courtesy of a 12-yard reception from Zach Gentry off the arm of John O'Korn. That was back in the early second quarter. And then Purdue quickly responded under 2 minutes later with a 10-yard pass off the back foot of Elijah Sindelar to the backup tight end Bryson Hopkins. And that tied it up at 7 apiece. And then off of the Purdue interception by Navon Mosley that put them deep in Michigan territory, a 29-yard field goal from J.D. Dellinger has the current score at 10-7. Where do you go from here, Chris, in terms of offensive, defensive adjustments if you are Jim Harbaugh, Don Brown, this entire coaching staff looking for answers?
Defensively, look, it's been a pretty sad blitz. The Purdue offensive line has gotten to the Michigan defense, and I don't think we've seen that this year. The Purdue quarterbacks aren't getting hit. They're having plenty of time to find their guys. It might just be time to send the guys back. Don't blitz as much. Send the guys back into coverage and force these Purdue quarterbacks to make throws that, quite frankly, they just can't. We've seen both of them miss throws deep. We've seen both of them miss throws on third down that are key long.
But they've seen good underneath passes on those short completions that then turn into yards after the catch. That is the danger with sending the house. But sending the house is where Don Brown makes his money with this Michigan defense. So that will be interesting to note in the second half how Michigan comes back out of the locker room.
And then on offense, look, the run game's just not working. It's not. They've got 29 yards rushing, which is a little sad.
On 21 attempts makes it sound a heck of a lot worse.
A heck of a lot worse.
Averaging 1.4 yards a carry as a team. Led by Karan Higdon, who has seen 10 snaps for 31 yards. Really leading the way for the Wolverines in terms of what semblance of a running game there was in the first half.
The thing that got to me a little bit on the first half was the formation with 3 tight ends when they would put McKeon in motion, and the 2 running backs in the backfield. The one where there's no wideouts. You know what I'm talking about?
Bunching up to the right with the tight ends, McKeon and Gentry, and then putting the running backs in the backfield. Yes,
because they've been trying to run up the middle in those. When Purdue knows they can put more guys on the run due to the fact that Michigan doesn't have Jake Butt like they did last year, and they don't really have great tight ends like they did in years past.
Well, something that we had talked about in pregame both last night on 88.3 on the Extra Point Special show and then leading into today's game was the fact that Wilton Speight had faced 3 heavy pass rush defenses in the first 3 games this season, attacking defenses. And today against Purdue's, what we thought would be more of a sit back and play zone defense has come a little bit harder than expected. And now with the switch up with Speight going out with the injury and John O'Korn stepping in, you now take that understanding communication between new receivers and a new quarterback to another level in a game situation in which most of them have not even seen John O'Korn on a live snap in a game.
Yes, exactly. So that's something good, is that Purdue doesn't really know what to expect, and I think the halftime they're going to make those adjustments and kind of see what John O'Korn's all about. I think that's what this halftime is going to be for Purdue, which is an advantage for Michigan because they get a chance to rest, take it easy, get out of this really hot sun, this really hot weather, and try to make these adjustments. But on defense, gosh, sending the house just isn't working in this game. I'm not saying abandon it, but I am also saying they should probably make some sort of change. And then on offense, I'm not saying abandon the run. I'm a Lions fan. I know what abandoning the run looks like. It's bad. You need the run to have the pass. The best pass game is a run game. But unfortunately, the run's not getting there. So O'Korn needs to step back and make some more big throws. Throws we've seen Speight not make in the first 3 games. And the end of last year, we saw what can happen. O'Korn, from what we've heard, this is O'Korn's team for the near future. And if O'Korn wants to be the star quarterback and the starting quarterback for the entire season, this is the time where he needs to step up and make big throws and just win this game, because this is his game to win. Speight's gone for this game, and that's it. This is his game to win, and this is going to be really important in the second half to see what he can do. And let's see what he can do to start the second half with the football.
again, we will let you know as soon as we hear about the condition of Wilton Speight. For those of you that tuned in late, he went down late on into the first quarter on a heavy hit off two Purdue defensive linemen, had his neck snapped forward, as well as a heavy defender falling on his leg as he was taken to the Purdue University Hospital for x-rays. He did make it off the field under his own power with some assistance, and we will see how that fares later on in the game. But again, it has been a story of relative ho-humness here in Purdue. Despite all that has happened, it is, again, just a 10-7 game. Not a lot of yards to split between the two teams. Overall, Purdue leading that 179 in total yards to Michigan's 131. They lead on the ground 45-29, and in the pass game 134-102. Purdue has racked up 4 penalties for 40 yards. Michigan just 1. The kick-catch interference for 15 yards. Very telling statistic for both sides, as well as I look back at the first half here. Third down efficiency, near non-existent. Michigan 2 for 8. Purdue yet to convert a third down, 0-7 on the game so far today.
I mean, that's pretty bad. I mean, 2 of 8 isn't good, but 0 of 7 is just terrible. So if Michigan can force them into those third downs, that's huge. We haven't. There's a reason it's 0 of 7. We haven't been seeing 3rd and 1s, 3rd and 2s, 3rd and 3s. We've been seeing 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 25. I think we saw that twice, and that's Purdue just shooting themselves in they're on their foot, with stupid false starts and two stupid chop blocks, and I think that's why it's 0 of 7, because they're not 3rd and 1s, 3rd and inches. They're 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3.
I think the argument could be made at this point that for Michigan fans going into halftime against Florida, going into halftime against Cincinnati and Air Force, although close games and in some Michigan not holding the lead, it still felt like Michigan had outplayed the opponent in the first half. Not quite the same feeling here this afternoon. Purdue has given them a good fight so far, and the Wolverines are struggling down 3. Again, Chris, do you start to let that get into your head at a certain point? This is the Big Ten opener. Although it is not the end-all, be-all for the season, it is a big indicator of how Michigan will do in conference play so far this season. And an upstart Purdue team now seems hungry heading into the second half with a win in their sights so long as they can hold off Michigan for another 2 quarters.
Well, listen, and this is going to sound stupid because it is stupid, but if Michigan does end up losing this game, all fans need to say is, oh, our starting quarterback get knocked out in the first quarter. It's a very interesting argument. So I don't think it's necessarily telling. It's not the end-all, be-all. If Michigan can win out, they'll be in the playoffs. I'm not saying that's a possibility. I'm just saying it exists. But if you're the Wolverines, you just want to try to get out with a win. The committee doesn't really care about games, in-conference games, in terms of who won by how much, and go into the bye week and then get ready to face Michigan State at home.
Michigan trying to avoid the in-conference losses again against what would seem to be inferior opponents last year, going into Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City at night and being handed a loss, really shattering the Wolverines' hopes of getting into the Big Ten tournament. And although, as you said, it might not have an impact on a later selection committee for bowl games or even the college football playoff, what it will have an effect on is Michigan's ability to get up in the division and make a bid to get to the Big Ten championship game.
Well, a couple things. First off, kind of off topic. Playing Kinnick Stadium at night, that's a hard thing to do. Penn State's going to lose this game tonight, and I don't think it's necessarily going to be close. Second off, it's not the end-all, be-all. You can get a loss. It's not a big deal. But like you said, if you can't beat Purdue, how are you going to beat Michigan State? How are you going to beat Ohio State? How are you going to beat these other teams, with the only difference being you're at home instead of on the road, which is a big deal to a young team. It's scary to go on your first road trip and play your first road game. But this is kind of a walk in the park, not the team you're facing against, but the crowd. I mean, there's so much maize in the crowd that we're looking at. The visitor section is huge. I mean, it's a solid 1/3 Michigan fans, so you could barely call this a road game. I mean, I know you can, and it's away from the big house. 60,000 is not what you're used to playing in front of. But nonetheless, I think Michigan might be overthinking this in terms of their first road game. So I wouldn't be too afraid if I was a Michigan fan. I wouldn't be too concerned. I think Michigan's going to win this game. I don't think it's a really big deal. I don't think it's going to be close.
It needs to be worth noting, though, that this win, if it is to come for Purdue, if they can hold on in the second half, would be a major, major notch in the hat for Jeff Brom and this Purdue Boilermakers team. A team that, again, has struggled with mediocrity for so many years over the last decade. finally starting to have a bit of a resurgence here. And if they can beat the number 8 team in the country at home at a sellout crowd, that puts a lot of money back in the bank for Jeff Brom and this Purdue football program.
This will be the biggest win in Purdue history of the last decade.
All right, Chris, let's wrap up our thoughts on the first half here, and then I'm going to give some scores around the league before we bring in Austin Falco and Daniel Thompson for the second half. Give me your 2 keys to the second half for the Wolverines. How do they get back into the lead in this game down 10-7?
Key 1, get to the quarterback or quit what you're doing because it's not working. On the other side, John O'Korn, just keep making good throws. Keep making big throws. What do we see Harbaugh just do? They went for it without O'Korn.
They did trust O'Korn's arm. That does mean a lot.
Did they do that with Speight in the first 3 games?
They did not.
They did. Do you think he would have done that with Speight at the quarterback?
Honestly, I don't know.
Really?
I don't know.
I don't think he would have because he can't make that throw that John O'Korn just made.
It's hard to speculate, but I do think we did just see a lot of trust put into the arm of backup quarterback John O'Korn, and that is something to watch for here in the second half.
No sweat, Michigan fans. It's your ball to start the second half. You got probably a better quarterback in your backup than you did your starter. Wilton Speight, we hope you're doing good. We hope all the best. But this is your game, John O'Korn. He knows that. Michigan's fine.
We will continue to bring you second half coverage. Just a moment, we are going to switch over to a couple of scores around the league nationally, and then we will get out of the way here and give way to Austin Falco and Daniel Thompson for the second half. Running through the numbers in terms of rank, number 1 Alabama currently up 45-zip over Vanderbilt in the third quarter. That game in Vanderbilt, I should say. Boston College and Clemson knotted up at 7 apiece. The seemingly unstoppable, unflappable Clemson Tigers and Dabo Swinney knotted up at 7 at the end of the third quarter, struggling to put up points against Boston College. USC, number 5, currently knotted up also with Cal, both teams undefeated. That game in Berkeley, 7:20 remaining in the second quarter there. Late on in the third quarter, number 16, TCU, leading 34-7 over the number 6 Oklahoma State Cowboys. Mike Gundy's team, the offensive firepower, seems fantastic so far this season, but currently being doubled up by the Horned Frogs. That one in Stillwater. Number 14, Miami, currently leading by 1 against Toledo, 17-16. Also late in the third quarter, a lot of ranked teams struggling so far today. Michigan, no exception. These score lines are very close. Ohio State came out victorious over UNLV in the Horseshoe 54-21 earlier today. Big upset of the afternoon so far. North Carolina State beating number 12 Florida State in Tallahassee 27-21. That a big win for the Wolfpack as they advance to 3-1. Florida State winless and now 0-1 in conference play in the ACC. Virginia Tech up 38-0. Won over Old Dominion 38-0. Number 13 Virginia Tech. And number 19 Louisville beat Kent State 42-3. A convincing victory for Heisman candidate Lamar Jackson. And just kicking off is number 18 Washington State. The Cougars facing Nevada in Pullman. That one just about to get kicked off here. And with Daniel Thompson on the other side, I'm going to hand it over to you really quick as I switch over here with Austin Falco and bring him on. It's been a pleasure to call here on 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor. And for Chris Pickler, I've been Jeremy Parks, and we're going to hand you off into good hands with Austin and Daniel. Daniel, take it away.
Thanks, Jeremy. We will now resume our second half coverage. We have 6 minutes to kick off according to the big screen here in West Lafayette. I'm Daniel Thompson and about to be joined here by Austin Falco. We will begin to see a second half. I think both teams will be looking to make adjustments. The key adjustment for Purdue would be swapping at quarterback. They made that provided some points at first and currently has gotten Purdue all 10 points of the game so far from Purdue have came on their quarterback switch when they subbed in starting quarterback David Blau with Elijah Sindelar. Now it should be noted that Sindelar has seen quite a bit of playing time so far this season. It's not unusual for them to make the substitution, but it is perhaps unusual to see them stick with Sindelar for so long. And I anticipate them to continue to use Sindelar throughout the game. And even if they were to get into a deficit, Sindelar is more of their deep threat quarterback with a stronger arm. So I would, if Purdue were to lose the lead at any point in the second half, they'd have to be playing from behind and begin looking down the field deep. So I would anticipate Sindelar remaining the starting quarterback for the rest of the game. However, it would not be a shock at all to see David Blau come in at any point.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head there, Daniel. Once again, I'm Austin Falco. It's going to be myself and Daniel Thompson bringing you through to the conclusion of this ball game. Again, 10-7 Purdue at the half. As Daniel was talking about, Sindelar so far for Purdue just looks like the better quarterback. It fits the offense a little more, like you said, a little more physically gifted, a little more physically talented. And that's really showed up on the field thus far. But I'm not really sure if it's the physical tools that's been troubling the Michigan defense when they have been troubled thus far. I mean, they've given up 179 total yards, which isn't necessarily terrible, but for a Michigan defense that was ranked number 5 in the country in total yards allowed coming in, that's not a number they like to see. Like I said, though, I don't think it's necessarily the physical talent as much as head coach Jeff Brom drawing up some amazing schemes and really throwing off the Wolverine linebackers, especially with a lot of misdirection, a lot of tight ends leaking out, a lot of throwbacks we saw seemed to be the theme of the first half for the Purdue offense.
Absolutely, Austin. You just stole my next comment, that it really has not been so much a more gifted Purdue offense, but a Purdue offense with perhaps more creative plays. Really, every big chunk play I can think of for Purdue came either in some form of misdirection, whether it be the first play from scrimmage of the entire game where they did the fake handoff and then a throwback to the quarterback, who at the time was David Blau. And on their touchdown drive, we saw 2 big plays coming from misdirections. The tight end sneaked out, being unguarded by the linebackers, and got a big chunk of yardage. We saw also, I believe, on Elijah Sindelar's first drive of the game, that resulted in a touchdown. He started that drive off with a large scrambling play. All the receivers and running backs were running out left. There was no one guarding the right side of the field whatsoever. It looked like Khalid Hudson, I believe, was the assignment on Sindelar, and he just got lazy on that coverage, and Sindelar got an easy 11, 12 yards because no one was on the right half of the field at all. And if Purdue can keep on getting looks like that, where they can get the ball handler to have just green field in front of them, they should be able to continue to move the ball in chunk plays like they did in that first half.
Yeah, you talked about Blau on that throwback to begin the game, as well as Sindelar's scrambling ability so far that he's displayed. Those two are actually Purdue's leading rushers in this game, even when you account for the 1 sack that Michigan does have in the game, which I believe is a 3-yard loss from Devin Bush. Not too impactful, but David Blau is actually the leading rusher in this game, despite being taken out. He's got 3 rushes for 14 yards. On Elijah Sindelar is sitting at 2 for 13. Michigan has bottled up the run game extremely well, but like you said, it's those misdirection when the quarterback's scrambling out wide. You mentioned specifically that play where Khalid Hudson was trying to chase down Sindelar and he was scrambling. There was a lot of indecision there. It's almost like Khalid Hudson second-guessed himself because he was so far in that open field. He thought there was going to be another throwback coming, perhaps to the tight end, whether it's Bryson Hopkins or Cole Herdman, the 2 outstanding tight ends for Purdue. They like to leak them out on the backside of the play. He almost had that bit of indecision, looked for one of them. By the time he turned around, Sindelar was streaking down the field for an 11-yard gain.
And that's a very interesting stat you bring up there, that the 2 quarterbacks are the leading rushers for Purdue. I don't know how often you see that in a football game where at halftime 2 different quarterbacks for the same team. Both teams really need to work on establishing the run and getting consistent medium yardage run plays from their running backs, because really both defenses, have shut down the run and forced the opposing offenses into plenty of passing situations. It is worth noting that Purdue's leading rusher on the year, by a wide margin, Tario Fuller, was seen walking in a boot before the game, and he will not be able to play this game. So that certainly has changed up the game plan for the Purdue Boilermakers. We've seen a wide array of ball carriers for Purdue, and it'll be interesting to see if they could implement their 2 backs who have gotten the most carries so far today, Brian Lankford Johnson and DJ Knox, if they will get involved at all. Because really both teams need to ask themselves at halftime, how can they get the run game established and create easier plays for their passing game?
So I think we're going to have to take a look for that in the second half. It's going to be up to the respective offensive coordinators to see if they want to go with that run game, try to establish that. It looks like the teams are taking the field here for the opening kickoff of the second half. Again, Purdue leads this one so far 10-7.
And as we have said ad nauseum so far today, Michigan will be returning the second half kickoff. Kakoa Crawford and Brad Hawkins back for the return. Kakoa Crawford taking all but one kickoffs back for the Wolverines. Brad Hawkins with one on the year.
And it looks like kicking off for Purdue is going to be number 13, Spencer Evans. He blew one out the back of the end zone last time he kicked off, and this one is going to be ticketed for about the middle of the end zone. Kakoa Crawford fields it. He thinks about coming out, and he will come out. He tries to find a lane going right. He finds one, but gets swallowed up at the 15, and down he goes.
Not a smart play by Kakoa Crawford. He hesitated, and after that hesitation, it really should have been it for him there. That was a valuable second he wasted by thinking he should have taken the knee there. There's still an entire half of football left to be played. Michigan does not need to panic. They do not need to force anything. They know that they are perceived to be the better team by just about everyone in the country. They need to continue to their game plan and not try to force anything so early in the third quarter.
All right, so it will be the Michigan offense back on the field. John O'Corn still under quarterback, as we said, or under center rather, as we mentioned. Wilton Speight going out, who will have Donovan Peoples-Jones split out right. He's got a tight end tight to the right, as well as Grant Perrier. Is that Nate Shanley actually coming in motion now right? He's going to fake the handoff to Higdon in the backfield and looks to his left. It's Shanley coming across the middle. He's going to bring it all the way out to about the 29-yard line. That'll be a 15-yard gain, it looks like, for Michigan, and a first down. Tackle made on the play by Jacob Thieneman, the safety.
And an impressive game so far for Shinley after making that costly error on a punt coverage play earlier, running into the catcher. He has had 2 receptions now and really gotten into this Michigan playbook in replace for Tariq Black.
2 catches, 29 yards. Now the leading receiver on the day for the Wolverines is Nate Shanley. Now O'Corn comes out in the shotgun. Higdon to his right. 2 wide receivers split out right, or rather 2 tight ends and a wide receiver split out to his right. 1 to his left. He drops back to throw now. He looks left. He's going deep for Kakoa Crawford. Crawford unable to make the grab. It looked like it was Crawford as well as the cornerback DeJuan Hunt. Both had a hand on it, and it landed out of bounds there. Michigan trying to take a deep shot again here. We've seen it a couple times near the end of that first half with O'Corn.
And a much different look for the Wolverines on offense so far in the second half. They've spread the ball out. They've spread the field out wide and are forcing Purdue to take on a different defense that we saw them in from the most of the time in the first half. This should open up more potential for the running game.
Now Michigan comes out fullback. That's Poggi with Isaac behind him. 1 tight end tight to the right. Tight end or wide receiver split out to each side. O'Corn fakes now. Looking to pass. This time he's going to scramble. He scrambles out right and gets tripped up, and down he goes in the backfield. He's going to lose about 2 or 3 yards there. I'm not sure if he was ever touched on the play. If he was, I believe it was Lorenzo Neal. Doesn't look to be celebrating. I don't know if O'Corn just tripped up or if he was indeed touched.
And it appears number 41 got another tackle.
It was Jacob Thieneman, the safety, ended up with the sack. 3-yard sack. Michigan's now stuck in a 3rd and 13 on their own 27-yard line.
And another obvious passing down. It looks like Michigan will pass on every possession so far in the second half.
So now O'Corn in the shotgun. Isaac next to him. He's got 2 wideouts split out wide, a tight end now to his right as well. And 1 wide receiver split left. O'Corn drops back, looks right now. He's going deep, and that's going to be a little bit of a miscommunication there with Crawford as he got held up. And it looks like there's a flag. We're going to get a pass interference call. It looks like. We'll see who'll call out. It was Josh Okanye trying to cover Kakoa Crawford. There was a bit of miscommunication there. Speight threw it deep down the sideline. I'm not even sure if Kakoa Crawford was trying to run the fly route there, but I guess he sold that Okanye interfered with him just enough. So that's going to be a pass interference call on Purdue. It'll be 10 yards and a Michigan first down upcoming.
And I don't think Okanye had to interfere with the route there by Crawford. The ball was thrown way over Crawford's head, although, of course, we don't really know because Okanye really made sure Crawford could not run anywhere. He had no freedom of motion. So one play we won't really know a whole lot about because of the interference.
Now at their own 37, Michigan comes out. 2 tight ends, a fullback, and it looks like Karan Higdon in the backfield with Mo Way split out left. It's actually Chris Evans in the backfield. It's fake to him. O'Corn steps up in the pocket. He's going to try to run now and gets swallowed up. Maybe half a yard on the play. Looks like he's actually marked down right at the line of scrimmage. It's Lorenzo Neal.
And O'Corn has been quick to abandon the pass and look to run so far. He hasn't completely sold out. I believe in the last 20-second drill at the end of the first half, there was a situation where he looked to run, then decided to look downfield. He has been a little bit uncertain in what he wants to do, but nonetheless, he avoids the sack and sets up 2nd and 10.
See if Michigan goes to the run at all so far on this drive. There's 2 tight ends set, 2 wide receivers, 1 on each side. Chris Evans in the backfield, O'Corn under center. He takes the snap here, drops back to pass. It looks like a little out route. It's going to find Sean McEwen, the tight end, and he'll get about 5 yards out to the Michigan 42-yard line.
And McEwen had a good effort there to keep his feet in bounds for as long as he could and try to fight the momentum towards the sideline that he had. That will set up a 3rd and medium situation. I think still an obvious passing down for the Wolverines, and it looks like they will not have a single design run in this first drive unless they can pick up the 3rd and 5 on this ensuing play.
Michigan takes a couple tight ends out. McEwen and Gentry go out. Looks like the package will be Perry, Crawford, and Mo Wace out to the right. Donovan Peoples shown to the left. Now Chris Evans motions out of the backfield all the way to the right. O'Korn in the shotgun. He takes the snap. He's looking right. He finds Grant Perry on a little out route, but too far out for Grant Perry to make the grab. It bounces off his hands. So that's going to bring up a Michigan 4th down.
And a rough game so far for Grant Perry. We've seen other receivers who have not had a whole lot of playing time so far this season get involved in the game a lot, with Tariq Black being out, Grant Perry having a rough day. And we'll see which receivers can step up for the Wolverines, because I believe the current leader has 39 yards receiving for the Wolverines.
29 actually, as McEwen and Shanley tied for the team lead. It'll be Brad Robbins to punt now for Michigan. He stands at his own 27-yard line. It's Anthrop back to receive the kick for Purdue. This one's off by Robbins. Anthrop calls for a fair catch and fields it right at the 20-yard line of the Boilermakers, and that's where they'll begin their first drive here of the second half.
And that entire first quarter was essentially just one big field position battle. And right now, that in the third quarter, it appears to be more of the same. Michigan having to punt after picking up a couple first downs. We'll see if the Michigan Wolverine defense can either force their first turnover of the game, or perhaps limit Purdue to no first downs or not many yards and give their offense better field position. Not one design run call there. They were able to open up the field quite a bit, the Wolverines were, and that could set up a better conditions for running the ball than they saw that entire first half. It'll be interesting to see what they do now that they've established their passing game more and forced that Purdue Boilermakers defense to address the passing game more. So we saw a pretty good game by O'Korn right there, although that last pass was a bit overthrown on Perry. But nonetheless, despite the fact that O'Korn is the backup quarterback, they have made the Boilermakers aware they have to still be weary of the pass offense, and that should open up the running game for the Wolverines.
Yeah, you kind of beat me to the punch there. I was going to say during this break, talking about Michigan's last drive and how it was all designed passes, a lot of shotgun formations, a lot of spread out, almost a very West Coast or an air raid type of feel, not necessarily taking the deep shots that you would see, such as in an air raid offense, but a little bit of a West Coast concept, a lot of slants, a lot of out routes there, and I think that might stem actually back from the protection problems the offensive line for Michigan was having in that first half. Purdue 1 sack on the season coming into the game. They had 3 in the first half alone. Michigan's offensive front was just completely confused, had no idea what was going on, allowing stunts, allowing delayed blitzes, just allowing guys to get home and sack whoever was playing quarterback at the time, whether it was Speight or O'Korn. And I think that's really contributed to what we saw on that first drive here in the second half of Michigan.
And I think that might be the story of the first half, how Purdue's defensive line that was really criticized for not being able to generate any quarterback pressure all season long, even against another weak offensive line like the Louisville Cardinals. They were fantastic in that first half and really gave the Michigan offense a lot of problems, adding 3 of their first 4 sacks in the season. And in the second half now, we already saw the safety Jacob Thieneman add a 4th on the game for this Purdue Boilermakers defense. If this Purdue defensive line can cause problems for the Michigan Wolverines offense, I'm sure that is not something the Wolverines game planned for in this game, and that will really put the coaches under a lot of pressure for the Wolverines.
And it looks like we have another quarterback change here for Purdue as David Blau will come out to start the drive. Looks like he's got 2 wide receivers split out left, 1 right. The tight end Herdman tight to the formation. 1 running back in the backfield with him in the shotgun. It's DJ Knox. He will hand it off to Knox, who flips it back to a wide receiver coming across. He looks to pass, and he will get swallowed up. It's great discipline there by the Michigan defense. It was Chase Winovich tackling Anthrop there in the backfield for about a 2-yard loss.
And Michigan really responded in the way that we said they needed to. They were all over that reverse play. None of the trickery caught them there. And we were both proven wrong as David Blau came out to start this second half.
Still in there now as he has Got Richie Worship in the backfield. He pitches out that way, and it's actually not Worship. It's a new running back. We haven't seen that on the day, or rather, it's Brian Langford Johnson getting his first action here in the second half with a little, almost a zone, outside zone pitch there from Purdue. We've seen it on film a little bit. They were able to get about 3 yards, get across the 20-yard line to their own 21, and it'll be 3rd and 9.
And Ben Watson comes in the game, interestingly. Devin Furbush comes out. Looks like we'll have more defensive backs on the field.
All right, now it is Langford Johnson motioning out to the right there as a screen pass to Anthem is broken up by Lavert Hill. David Blau went for the quick hitter trying to get that first down. It was right about at the sticks, and Lavert Hill swatted it away, and that'll bring up a 4th down here. Great stop by the Michigan defense to respond early on in the second half.
And I think if you ask Don Brown what the perfect first defensive series for his defense would be in the second half, it would be exactly that. Covered any reverse plays and still created pressure that entire drive.
So it's Joe Shopper to punt, down on Peoples-Jones, all the way back about his 37-yard line, ready to field the punt. Shopper gets it. He boots it away. It's a shorter kick, going to force Peoples-Jones to call a fair catch. He'll catch it at his own 39 after a bit of a bobble there, a little bit of a scare. Referees rule it was actually the 38-yard line. That was where Michigan will start their second drive here in the second half with 10:34 to go in the third quarter.
And now Michigan is coming out on top of that field position battle at first. They're going to start this drive about 13 yards ahead of where they started their last. If they can find more success in the air and maybe look to the ground and with the more open and wide field they're going to see this drive, they can possibly get their best drive, with exception to the one touchdown drive that was quite lengthy. They are only a field goal away from tying this game, but I'm sure they're looking for a touchdown here. Still a lot of time to go. 10:34 remaining in the third quarter.
That'd be interesting to see here what Michigan comes out in. Maybe that last drive where they spread it out and went to pass, maybe to try to get Purdue to change their personnel. Purdue, of course, loves to play those 4 linebackers flying around. Danny Izuchukwu plays a little bit more like a D-end at times, but listed as a linebacker on the depth chart. You have to wonder if maybe they're trying to get some of those linebackers off the field that have been so good on rush defense so far for Purdue. Try to get them off the field, try to get some more defensive backs on the field, which is Purdue's weakness so far this season. Coming in, we thought that was a matchup Michigan could exploit, was that secondary. Even with Michigan's young receivers, the loss of Tariq Black, it seemed like Purdue was very prone to giving up plenty of yards, especially over the middle of the field so far this season. And it's really something we haven't seen a lot from Michigan. It's been a lot of tight ends running out routes, little weave plays through the defense out of tight formations, maybe spreading them out as Michigan's next approach at trying to isolate them in space.
Surprisingly, no slant routes at all from the Wolverines today, or at least none that were converted for any completions, which is something I don't think anyone really anticipated coming into this game. But I think the Wolverines offense needs to keep in mind that they have a ton of time left. They can still play their game plan. They have they really need to establish the run if they want this pass game to improve. Of course, with the backup quarterback in, although he's looked pretty solid so far today, I'm sure he did not envision himself coming into the game with a deficit. Yes, a lot of pressure for O'Korn, but he's handled it well so far today.
Yeah, certainly not the circumstances you ever want to see a quarterback thrust into the game into because your starter gets hurt. But O'Korn responded admirably. 9 for 14, 112 yards, a touchdown, and an interception that was off of Grant Perry's hands earlier on. So hard to really blame that one too much on him. But really a great job so far, and he's looked the part out there, commanding the huddle. He'll come out again here for Michigan. It's 2 tight ends, 1 on each side, 2 wide receivers split out wide. It's McDoom and Donovan Peoples-Jones with Chris Evans in the backfield. Waiting for the go-ahead for the referees. O'Korn under center. He checks at the line. Takes the snap now and hands off to Evans. Evans starts left, then bounces right. He tries to get around the outside. He will be stopped by Okonye for about a 3-yard gain out to the 41 of Michigan.
The blocking by Wheatley and McDoom was pretty good around the outside, and Chris Evans recognized that, but they couldn't hold the blocks up forever. And some defensive backs were able to get off the blocks and limit that outside run by Chris Evans to a modest 3-yard gain.
Michigan now comes out 1 tight end. Khalid Hill comes in as a fullback in the backfield with Higdon behind him. It's McDoom tight to the left, Donovan Peoples-Jones wide to the right. Glidhill motions left. Horn drops back, and he is under pressure, but it's a screen pass to Karan Higdon, and he is caught from behind. No, he's not. He shakes the tackle and fumbles the ball. It's bouncing around. No one has it. It looks like Purdue is going to pick it up. There's about 6 Purdue players and 2 Michigan players all the way down at the Purdue 37-yard line, waiting for an official signal from the referees. It looked like Purdue had to have got that ball. And there it is. Purdue recovers the Karan Higdon fumble. They will have the ball at their own 37-yard line.
And Michigan really cannot afford to lose the turnover battle this game. We hear the crowd just ecstatic right now. They're digging themselves into a hole that they really were not into too large of a hole coming into this half, but that's really going to hurt. Higdon may have been excited. He perfectly executed the fake block to get his man off of him and excited about getting to the quarterback, leaving him pretty much unguarded for the short pass. But after that, he broke a tackle and then just completely lost all sense of ball security. And it took forever for anyone to recover,
It looked like Okanye was the one that came from behind and popped it out, and it was T.J. McCollum on the recovery. That's the best that we could see from up here. It was a big scrum. I wasn't sure if anyone really wanted to get the ball. That'll be Purdue coming out. It is a pass here. It's Sindelar back in the game, and right through the hands of Devin Bush, a little screen pass that looked like he was targeting Zico over the middle there.
And Khalik Hudson was coming in hot on Blau, my apologies, Sinclair, and it looks like he just threw the ball away, not thinking, because that ball was interceptable for Devin Bush. Ball at the 37-yard line, and that was interesting how it looked like no one could recover the football at first. They were playing hot potato with it, it seemed like.
There's actually Terry Wright, the slot receiver. Now there's 2 wide receivers left, 1 right, a single back pistol formation for Purdue. Sindelar fakes the handoff, and he is hounded by Devin Bush. He's not even going to try, and Chase Winovich cleans up the scraps. Giant hit there, knocks Purdue all the way back to their 26-yard line.
And now a 3rd and very long for the Boilermakers. 3rd and 21 is going to be the official yardage.
Michigan's 2nd sack of the day here puts it at 3rd and 21. It was Devin Bush flying through. It wasn't even blocked, and Sindelar didn't even try to throw the ball, just tucked for cover there for Winovich. Finished off the play. Purdue now goes 3 wide, split out to the left, 1 to the right, 1 running back in the backfield. Getting these signs from the sideline is Sindelar. It's Rishi Worship in the backfield with them. A draw play here to Worship. He makes a move, cuts to his right, and he will miss the tackle by Tyree Cannell, it looks like, but Devin Bush cleans him up on the sideline. He was able to get a good chunk of that yardage back and only out to Purdue's 40-yard line. It'll be about a 4th and 7, and Purdue was going to punt this ball away.
Smart play call there. Purdue was very unlikely to pick up the first down, but they were able to flip the script there. They now are in great position for the field position battle after taking a big sack that hurt them. Way to get a lot of those yards back for a 14-yard gain.
So be Shopper to punt. Donovan Peoples-Jones back to field again. He's got his heels at about his 21. Purdue's got a gunner in motion to the right. The punt from Shopper is off. Peoples-Jones going to have a chance to return this one, I think. Nope, he's going to call a fair catch and grab it at his own 14.
Peoples-Jones wisely calling a fair catch there. All game, Purdue has gotten great hang time on their punts and allowed their coverage team to get down there and not give Peoples-Jones any really thoughts of having an opportunity to run a touchdown back like he did in that game last week against Air Force.
And the wind not really a factor at all day, maybe blowing a little bit now east to west, so wouldn't have really affected any of the punts so far today. But like you mentioned, Joe Shopper, the punter for Purdue, getting a lot of hang time there, really preventing Donovan Peoples-Jones from making an impact in the return game, which was something Michigan, like you said, used a lot last week. It wasn't only on the return for a touchdown. Donovan Peoples-Jones almost broke another one in that game, also gave Michigan some great field position.
And right now, the Michigan offense, they were feeling great. They were opening the field more. I think they were really starting to gel and think that they could get some points on the board the second half. Now they have to be extremely cautious not to have their 3rd turnover of the game because they're back inside their own 15-yard line. And if anything were to go wrong here with a turnover or a big sack, they could really be putting their defense under a lot of pressure here to try to avoid going down 2 scores.
And we've seen Jim Harbaugh put his running backs in a doghouse at times. We saw last year Ty Isaac had fumble problems, and he was barely seen from really the last 2 years. As soon as he started, those fumble problems started to pop up. He was almost non-existent for the rest of the season. Chris Evans, maybe a little bit of an issue earlier this year, but he's been back in a limited role thus far. Would you be surprised to see Karan Higdon featuring as much as he has so far in this game after the fumble?
Oh, I certainly would be. I mean, if anything, I think it's more likely than not Karan Higdon doesn't play it down for the rest of this game. Michigan really cannot afford another turnover, and Harbaugh has been very consistent with his punishments for running backs whenever they turn the ball over.
And that's really notable. Higdon so far has 10 attempts rushing so far. No one else on the Michigan team has more than 4.
And I think
Evans and Isaac.
And I think you have to wonder, how healthy is Isaac? We saw him leave for the locker room at the end of last week's game against Air Force, and he really has been the feature back ever since that fantastic Florida game he had. I would have anticipated him getting a lot of carries today, and so far he is not. So this Michigan offense might be limited to really one running back who they trust right now, given that Ty Isaac has seen surprisingly few touches, which would lead me to believe he's not playing at 100% health, although it appears he is on the field for this drive.
It does look like Ty Isaac's coming out. Of note, though, it looks like Nate Shanley is starting to walk back towards the locker room, limping just a bit, maybe tweak something. We'll see what happens if he comes out later on in this ball game. Right now, Michigan offense will go to work on their own 14, trying to tie this ball game up. It's 10-7 Purdue with 8:02 to go here in the third quarter. Michigan comes out in an I formation. It's Poggi with Isaac behind him. It's like Gentry, the tight end, to the right. Peoples-Jones split out left, and Kakoa Crawford to the right. Gentry now comes in motion left, then goes back right. O'Korn with the play fake. Now he's going to scramble. No, he's going to throw. He finds Donovan Peoples-Jones over the middle, who makes the grab, takes a tough hit from Jacob Thieneman. Looks like we have a flag on the play, though, and that's going to be coming back. A holding call on Michigan. That's Michigan's second penalty of the ball game.
And that's incredibly costly. They're going to be even further backed up towards their own end zone. I believe that will put the ball at the 7-yard line. And now they're going to be starting with first and long, 17, I believe, at their own 7 rather than first and 10 with a fresh set of downs at the 38.
Yeah, it would have gotten Michigan all the way out, like you said, to that 38-yard line. Now back on their own 7. It was half the distance to the goal. See what Michigan tries to do here. Can't get too picky. Purdue's be able to find or send some pressure and get some big sacks this far this game. Michigan's going to come out with almost a jumbo formation. It looks like a couple tight ends to the right. Isaac in the backfield. A couple wide receivers split out to the left. The corner under center. He's going to pass this ball. He drops back now, throws over the middle. It's Gentry. He catches at about the 10, tries to make a move, gets out to about the 18-yard line. Tackle on the play by Marcus Bailey.
And a great job by Gentry adding some yards after the catch. Didn't really cut up the field very quickly. He just looked upfield, saw what he had, and fought for every last yard. And now it's 2nd and 6, a very reasonable field position right now for the Wolverines, despite that awful start to the drive.
Peoples-Jones coming out of the game now, it looks like. Michigan opts for Mo Ways. He split out left. It's Grant Perry split out right, and a couple tight ends, Gentry and McEwen, also in the slot to the right. Isaac still in the backfield while O'Korn is in the shotgun. O'Korn takes the snap now. He looks to his right and in the hands of Gentry and out of them as he drops the ball going to the ground. It would have been close to a first down. Not sure if he would have gotten it. It doesn't matter as that it goes as an incomplete pass. It's 3rd and 6 now.
Peoples-Jones and Kakoa Crawford come onto the field. Mo Ways coming off. And Michigan right now has a problem I don't think they ever foresaw having at the beginning of the year. They have pretty short receiver depth with Tariq Black obviously getting injured last week, some poor performances from other receivers. It'll be interesting to see what they do to make do with this poor receiving core they have right now.
Peoples-Jones split out left, Kakoa Crawford way out right. It's McEwen and Grant Perry in the slot. Isaac in the backfield, a corner out of shotgun. He takes the snap, looks to pass now, and he is going to get sacked. No, he gets out of it. He stumbles around, trying to make a play and finds Grant Perry over the middle. He's going to get a first down here all the way out to the Michigan 30. What a play by John O'Korn to avoid the pressure. That was the blitzing linebacker, Jawan Bentley, who almost brought O'Korn down. O'Korn able to stumble around, get out of it before finding Perry. It was Josh Okonye finally bring him down at the 30. Big first down there for Michigan.
That was simply heroic by O'Korn. Ty Isaac did a poor job picking up the block, really just let the blocker run straight at O'Korn. He somehow absorbs the hit, keeps his composure, and looks downfield to find Perry.
Now Michigan over jumbo set. They got 2 tight ends. Grant Perry barely off the line to the left. Looks like Mo Ways might be back in all the way to the right. Evans in the backfield now. Fake handoff from O'Korn. He is under pressure again by Bentley, but he gets it off. Oh, dangerous throw there over the head of Ian Bunting. Almost picked off by Jacob Thieneman. It was Jawan Bentley again getting into the backfield untouched. Really was a stare down there between O'Corn and Bentley appeared to win that one.
The Boilermaker defenders want intentional grounding. There was not really a Michigan Wolverine receiver in the area, but there will be no flag, and 2nd and 10 for the Wolverines.
Now it's Moway split out to the left, 2 tight ends and a fullback. It's Khalid Hill in front of Chris Evans here in a jumbo formation for Michigan. This time it's handed off to Evans going towards the left in the middle of the line. He fights forward. There wasn't much there. He's able to get about 4 yards out of it.
And that looked just like the first half where there was really no room at all for the Wolverine running backs. Evans does a good job keeping his legs moving and getting every yard he possibly could out of that. That'll set up another 3rd and 6. Let's see what the Wolverines draw up on another 3rd and 6.
It's about a 3rd and 6, maybe a 3rd and 7 here from Michigan's own 33-yard line. It'll be O'Corn with an empty backfield. McDoom split out wide left. It's Perry and it looks like McEwen in the slot to the left. Mo Ways in the slot to the right with Chris Evans splitting out far to the right. Purdue sends 5. O'Corn drops back to pass and finds McEwen over the middle of the field. He's going to be across midfield into Purdue territory. He's going to be chased out of bounds there by Navon Mosley.
And a great job absorbing the pass rush there by the Wolverine offensive line. They have struggled to do so all game. McEwen looked like he might have been there for extra pass rush support with 4 receivers out wide, and McEwen lined up right alongside the offensive line. And perhaps maybe that's what Purdue defenders anticipated because McEwen was wide open down the middle for a big gain for the Wolverines.
30-yard gain there for Michigan has them in business at Purdue's 37-yard line. Staying in the shotgun now, 2 wide receivers outright, 1 to the left. Gentry tight in the formation as a tight end with Isaac in the backfield and O'Corn. O'Corn takes the shotgun snap with Ways coming in motion. He drops back to pass now, and after a bit of time, looks and overthrows his receiver on the play. And we're going to get what looks to be a targeting call on Thieneman. He absolutely laid out. I believe it's Maurice Ways over there who is still down on the field. Michigan trainers coming to take a look. And just a nasty hit there.
And that's a terrible sight to see. Ways has been moving his legs, but he just does not want to get up off the ground at all. He looks like he's in terrible pain. He can move his legs, and if anything, it appears to be he's moving them in agony.
I'm not sure if that's actually Maurice Ways. That might actually be Nick Eubanks, the tight end, who has made his way into the game. It is indeed Eubanks. He is down, and it looks like we are going to have a personal foul called on Purdue.
The referees are sorting this out.
It looks like we're going to get a targeting review here. I have not seen a replay. Can't quite tell you definitively what exactly happened. All I know is Eubanks still down on the field after that rough hit from Thieneman.
And the play is under review, which is a strong indication that this is being reviewed for targeting. And that would be huge for Purdue. They really want to keep Thieneman in this game. It looks like a blow to the head for targeting. You hear the crowd's reaction to the play. A very violent hit. I think that's the large Michigan representation here reacting to that one. Thieneman has a sack today, and really the defensive backfield is not a strength for the Purdue Boilermakers. They really don't want to get stretched any thinner than they currently are. Thieneman had the sack already. He's been all over the field today.
I'm not sure if I really want to be the one to take a guess here as Eubanks finally gets up. He's walking to the sideline under his own power, surrounded by Michigan trainers. So that is a great sign to see. Not going back to the locker room immediately. Another great sign for Eubanks. I'm not going to try to necessarily guess on targeting because that rule has been a bit of a mystery throughout college football in the Big Ten thus far. Looks like we're going to have an official decision here. It is confirmed that is a targeting call. Thieneman has been ejected from the ball game, and Michigan will get 15 yards and a first down as a result of the hit.
And we saw 2 different targeting reviews, one against the Michigan defense on Devin Bush and one against the Florida defense in that Michigan-Florida game, both of which were overturned and no targeting. And the penalty was still assessed, but no targeting was found. And it's been hard to really determine what was targeting, but that looked pretty clear-cut. Thieneman really had some time to slow himself down. He still chose to deliver the hit to the helmet.
And I think the big thing was he launched himself up at the receiver's head, which I think was the one thing that really confirmed that call.
And that's a crucial loss for the Boilermaker defense. Thieneman has been all over the field today.
All right, so Michigan now a 1st and 10 at Purdue's 22-yard line. 3 tight ends now in the formation. 1 running back. It's Evans. That'll be McEwen going right to left. Splitting out far right now. O'Corn back to pass, fakes a handoff to Evans. He's scrambling around. Now finds Evans over the middle on a dump off. Evans tries to twist out of a couple tackles, and he's going to have his forward progress stopped at the 19-yard line of Purdue. About a 3-yard gain, about the 18 to the 4-yard gain. Tackle made by Jawan Bentley, the star linebacker for Purdue.
and Evans was demonstratively calling for the ball. I think he knew if he had gotten that ball, if O'Corn had gotten the ball to him 2 seconds earlier, he could have been gone for a much larger game. O'Corn takes a little bit of time to find Evans, but nonetheless, a modest pickup is found.
So a 2nd and 6 now for Michigan. 2 tight ends. Poggi, the offset eye off to the right. Evans in the backfield. Donovan Peoples-Jones now going in motion from wide left towards tight formation. It is a bit of a draw play here to Evans. He starts right now, cuts back left, or rather starts left, cuts back right, and makes his way out across the Purdue 15 to about the Purdue 13.5-yard line. It's going to be about 3rd and 1.5 for Michigan, but we have a stoppage of play here as the cornerback, DeJuan Hunt, is down for Purdue.
A great patient run there by Evans. He took his time and watched the holes develop in front of him and really just moved into any hole he could find, setting up a short yardage situation. The Wolverines obviously very much within Quinn Nordine's range. He's kicked a 2nd in the NCAA, 11 field goals so far today. Possibly might add on his 12th, but I think he'd much rather line up for an extra point here in a few minutes than a field goal.
It's going to be about 3rd and 1.5. It's listed as 3rd and 1 on the scoreboard. I don't think the ball is spotted quite at the 13 as they show. It's more like the 13.5, maybe towards the 14. Do you think this is a situation where Michigan might give the first carry of the game to Khalid Hill, who we haven't seen used yet?
I definitely think so. Khalid Hill has been really good for the Wolverines over the past season and for all of this season so far, and he was really fantastic for them in the previous season. He's a great weapon and incredibly athletic fullback. He can really move like few men of his size can. It will be interesting to see what they do here. It's 3rd and a long one, but that's definitely yardage Khalid Hill can pick up. Of course, in his 6'2", 263-pound frame, it'll be interesting to see what he does. Henry Poggi has gotten a lot of snaps today so far, and he's had some plays designed to go get the ball towards him.
So we'll be Michigan at 3rd and 1. There's 3:41 left here in the 3rd quarter. Purdue still leading Michigan by a score of 10-7. As you mentioned, in field goal range for the Wolverines kicker Quinn Nordine. Michigan, though, looking for something bigger. They've been able to get down the field on this drive. A couple of improv plays from John O'Corn. You had, of course, that big penalty there on Thieneman that has him ejected from the ball game. Give Michigan a 1st down.
I think the Wolverines offense is going to feel a lot better about themselves after no matter what happens on this drive, as long as they get some points on the board. That's going to be a huge confidence booster, but I think they feel a lot better having a lead than only having a tie game. I think they've really seen that they can trust their defense. If 14 points here could really make them feel a lot better about themselves with 3:41 to go in the 3rd quarter. The way this Michigan defense is playing, as long as the offense doesn't turn the ball over, they could hold the Boilermakers to no more than 4 points for the rest of the game.
And it looks like another Michigan pass catcher is going to make his way to the locker room. It is Devin Eubanks. After a brief moment on the bench there, he is going to make his way out of the ball game. So Eubanks is most likely done for the game. Rather, Nick Eubanks. I apologize for the mispronunciation.
And Michigan, once again, very thin at receiver today. After having that great receiving class, signing Tariq Black and Donovan Peoples-Jones, the #1 rated receiver in the country, they all of a sudden find themselves thin at wide receiver, which is a problem they really doubted they'd ever have this year. It'll be interesting to see what Jim Harbaugh and the offensive coaches can draw up here to make use of the diminishing weapons they have in the backfield, with Isaac still appearing to be injured and just not getting the amount of carries you'd expect from him, and Karan Higdon in Harbaugh's doghouse today.
So this 3rd one coming, it looks like Khalid Hill is in the huddle for Michigan.
I think that's a great play call you have right now, Austin.
Very heavy formation. It looks to be Gentry, McEwen, and Bunting, 3 tight ends in the game. Gentry to the right, McEwen and Bunting to the left. Khalid Hill in the I formation with Evans behind him. McEwen now goes in motion. O'Corn under center. He takes the snap, hands off to Evans with Khalid Hill lead blocking. Evans finds the hole on the left side and gets down to the Purdue 10. That's going to be a 1st down for Michigan before he was brought down.
And now an infamous
by T.J. McCullum, the linebacker. And
now one of those infamous 1st and goal situations for the Wolverines. Their offense has been terrible in this situation so far this year, converting only 2 of 11 red zone drives for touchdowns. However, they are 1 for 1 in the red zone today. And we'll see what they have here. Looks like they'll have a bunch of tight ends and only Kakoa Crawford out wide.
It looks like it's going to be Grant Perry, Zach Gentry, McEwen in a bunch formation to the right. Evans in the backfield. Crawford out wide to the left. It's a pitch play to Evans. He waits a second, finds a hole up the middle for a Michigan touchdown. 10-yard touchdown run. Chris Evans as he shushes the Purdue band in the end zone. Michigan hops out to a 13-10 lead here. Extra point pending.
You have to imagine they were working on that play all week in response to how poor their offense has been in the red zone. Just great play call, great blocking. There was a wide open hole for Evans to just dart through and walk in for the touchdown once he got to the 5-yard line, completely unchallenged.
It'll be Quinn Nordine on for the extra point so far. Perfect on the year in his extra point attempts. Garrett Morris to hold. Cameron Cheeseman, the snapper. Snap, hold, kick is up and good. Michigan leads this game by a score of 14-10 now here with 2:42 to go in the third quarter.
And Nordine has not gotten to be the hero at all today, but I think he's quite fine with that. The offense finally clicking in the red zone, while not so much otherwise. 14-10 now. Wolverine offense looking a lot better than it has been in the red zone. And Quinn Nordine getting to kick a lot shorter of field goals, well, rather extra points so far today.
And going back to that touchdown run there by Evans, I think you saw a quick halftime adjustment there made by Michigan. The linebackers for Purdue are so good at reading plays off the snap, seeing where the running back is going and flowing to the ball. So that little pitch out, it looked like it was going to be a pitch wide to the right. Instead, Michigan, it was a design play where Evans would stop when he caught the ball and flew straight up the middle. And it worked like clockwork there. Michigan was able to cash in. So it'll be James Fogg now kicking off for Michigan here with a 14-10 lead. DJ Knox and Brian Langford Johnson, the two running backs, back to receive for Purdue. Fogg ready to kick. And here he goes. He boosts this one deep towards the left side of the end zone. And it'll go out the back of the end zone for a touchback. Purdue's going to start this drive at their own 25-yard line.
And Austin, I really think you just nailed that last play design right there, because that the Michigan offense really gave the Boilermakers a taste of their own medicine with a slight misdirection play there, and the entire defense bid on it. Everyone on the Boilermaker defense was moving hard to their left, and that really left Evans with all the momentum advantage in the world to have an easy touchdown right there. He perfectly executed the fake. I think everyone in the stadium thought he was going to the right.
So the Boilermakers looking for a chance to respond here. They'll start at their own 25-yard line. They've got two running backs in the backfield, one wide receiver split out right, one wide receiver split out left, two to the right. And it's Sindelar still in the ball game. Michigan showing some pressure here. He gets the sign from the sidelines. Now steps back to throw, a little screen pass to the left. It'll be the running back, Brian Langford Johnson. He is swallowed up on the perimeter, though, by Metellus, along with Kalik Hudson, and Devin Bush came to clean up the mess after a gain of about 4 yards out to the Purdue 29-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 6.
And fantastic blocking by Purdue star tight end Cole Herdman with that fantastic leap earlier in the game. He basically pushed Kalik Hudson back into Josh Metellus and prevented what could have been a tackle in the backfield and turned it into a good gain for 2nd and 6.
Now Purdue, two wideout split to the left, two tight ends in the ball game to the right, and one running back now motion from left to right. And a fumble snap there from Sindelar, and he's unable to grab that one, I guess. Like, really chaotic play there. It was actually on the handoff. He was trying to hand it off to number 9 there, Terry Wright, coming in motion from left to right.
Good job by Sindelar. He could have easily panicked. He saw Mike McRae coming full speed ahead. I'm sure McRae was extremely excited to see that play ahead of him.
Yeah, McRae had a chance to recover the fumble. Instead, it's about a 10-yard loss, maybe more, about 14-yard loss for Purdue. Michigan trying to get players off the field in time. They're going to be forced to call a timeout here on the sideline. As it looked like it was Noah Furbush late getting off here. It's a Purdue 3rd and about 17.
And Don Brown and Jim Harbaugh cannot be happy about that in this close second half. Timeouts are precious and cannot be wasted off of a mental error like that. Noah Furbush getting off the field late would have been called for too many men in the huddle on defense and 12 men on the field if they had not called that timeout.
Yeah, a costly penalty there, or not a penalty, rather a costly timeout call, unfortunately, for the Wolverines. Noah Furbush, the senior, it seems like you don't want your seniors making those kinds of mistakes late getting off the field, and you don't want to have to burn that timeout with only 1:30 to go in the third quarter, especially in a close game, only a 4-point game thus far. you don't want to be without those timeouts when it comes down to crunch time near the end of this ballgame.
Nonetheless, this could be it's 3rd and 18, and right now I'm sure the Michigan defense is talking about how they can get the ball back and give their offense for the first time all game a chance to go up 2 scores.
And go Blue chants ringing across Ross-Ade Stadium here from one corner to the other where the Michigan fans are seated. And a big 3rd down and 18 here. Michigan defense trying to get off the field, get their offense back on. It's Purdue. 2 wideouts split to the left along with a tight end, 1 wideout to the right, and a running back in the backfield. It's Sindelar dropping back to pass now. He scrambles to his left. He throws. He finds his tight end Herdman, but Devin Bush absolutely mauls Herdman as he drops that one, knocks it incomplete. Great play there by Devin Bush. And now it's 4th and 18. Purdue's going to have to punt.
Fantastic play there by Devin Bush. I think you had a matchup right there between possibly 2 of the best athletes on the field between Cole Herdman and Devin Bush, and Bush was able to force the pass incomplete. Donovan Peoples-Jones now back for the return. Michigan in a unique position, going to have the ball with the lead. That's not been true at all so far for them this game.
It's Joe Shopper to punt. Donovan Peoples-Jones back to field the punt at his own 40 as the Let's Go Blue chants ring, and Michigan tries to block the punt. They all run into each other, and we're going to have a penalty upcoming against the Michigan block unit here. As Donovan Peoples-Jones fields at his 40, goes backwards a few yards. He's going to stop at his own 36. We'll see what the call is, where they hit the plant leg. And it is only a running into the kicker, so it's only a 5-yard penalty. Not too costly for Michigan. We'll see what Purdue decides to do. I think it was a pretty solid punt, pretty nice coverage. I'd be surprised if they decide to re-kick this ball.
Absolutely. They got Donovan Peoples-Jones running backwards for a small loss on the return. And we saw 4 Wolverines all converge on the punter and just kind of push each other forward into the kicker. Only running into the kicker, a 5-yard penalty, and the Purdue crowd seems to be unhappy with that.
So it looks like Purdue's going to actually punt again.
Questionable call there. I thought that punt went about as well as it could, especially with Donovan Peoples-Jones back to return. You always have to be afraid he could rip off a big return. Surprising play call there.
Definitely showing faith here in their punter, Joe Shopper. One of the best punters in the Big Ten, if not the country. And after the replay, can't quite tell. We're getting iffy looks here from our now, I guess, technical engineer, Jeremy Parks here. Not sure if that one should have been a roughing or a running into. He looks a little indecisive there. I think that might be the decision that it probably should have been a roughing call. And the Purdue coach on the sideline not happy at all after seeing the replay. But it will be Purdue to punt again. Joe Shopper now back to punt, this time standing at about his own 7 as opposed to his own 2. Peoples-Jones now to field at his own 33. Michigan much less aggressive going for the block now as Peoples-Jones calls for a fair catch and catches it at the 34-yard line of Michigan. So about a 2-yard difference there. I guess Purdue pinned Michigan back an extra 2 yards on that one.
Yeah, really much ado about nothing, but every inch matters, of course, in a tight game like this. And I think the 2 yards was worth it in the end, but with Donovan Peoples-Jones, I think that was a poor decision with the fact he could always rip one back. Of course, their punter has been so great today, always creating great hang time.
With 1:05 here in the third quarter, just a reminder, we're going off the air on 88.3 in just about 10 minutes. You can follow us online at WCBN Sports or youtube.com/WCBN Sports or WCBNsports.org. Michigan now coming out quickly. O'Korn under center, drops back to pass. He's looking to his left, now evades a rusher. He's looking to throw still and finds Grant Perry over the middle for a large gain there. He's going to get all the way across into Purdue territory. Steps out about the Purdue 42-yard line. He tried to cut back to the middle of the field. And once again, O'Korn's ability to get outside the pocket and make some plays results in another big Michigan gain.
And I think we've really seen O'Korn mature a lot. In that Indiana game last year, we saw him really be a run-first passer. He only completed 1 pass in the second half. That's the second pass today where he came up right to the line of scrimmage. I think he was thinking about running, but then saw a guy wide open and made the wise call and hit the open receiver.
Now 2 tight ends out there for Michigan. Poggi in the backfield with Evans behind him. Moe split out left, now coming in motion near the formation. It's going to be a handoff here to Evans going left. He darts, tries to find the hole, and goes up the middle for about a gain of 4 to the Purdue 38-yard line.
And going into this game, we knew that the Purdue defense really prided themselves in their ability to stuff the run. And despite the fact that Michigan has opened up the field far more so far in the second half, they've really continued to stuff the run.
And it looks like that's going to take us to the end of the third quarter here. Michigan content to let the time run out. Purdue not going to stop them and use one of those timeouts. At the other side of this quarter break here, it'll be about 2nd and 6 for Michigan. driving in, leading by 4, trying to put a little distance between them and the feisty Boilermakers, who have really played an impressive game thus far, especially on defense, something I didn't necessarily expect.
Yeah, and I think their defense has been really impressive on the pass rush. All season they've been criticized for their inability to create any pressure for opposing quarterbacks. And now they've done a great job so far today, and Corn has really responded to it here in the third quarter.
And worth noting, since that 1 sack they had earlier in this half, that of course they had the 3 in the first half, it does appear that Purdue has backed off those blitzes a lot more, settling back into zone coverage after O'Corn's been able to avoid the rush a couple times. It seems like they've just about abandoned it. I don't really think that's the right move. Purdue is having so much success sending pressure early and confusing the Michigan offensive line. That it's kind of perplexing they haven't really sent more pressure in this game in the second half.
Absolutely. I think they should have stick with what was working. And this is a really unique situation for both the offense and the defense on the field right now, because Michigan's offense, when they scored that first touchdown to make it 7-0, the Boilermakers responded perfectly with a really quick drive to tie the game back up 7-7. This is the first possession for the Wolverines offense where they have the lead and the ball at the same time. They're not really used to that, and we'll see. That should add a lot of confidence to them. Meanwhile, Purdue has to be nervous on defense for the first time all game. So it's going to be, we'll see if that pressure gets to the Boilermakers defense and if Michigan rides that confidence and the momentum they currently have.
And once again, we were a little rushed when I said it last time. In about 5 minutes, we'll be going off the air on 88.3 WCBN FM Ann Arbor. We thank you all for listening if you are listening on that platform today. And we encourage you, if you want to catch the end of this game here, this WCBN Sports broadcast of Michigan football, to head on over to youtube.com/WCBN Sports or WCBNsports.org, where you can listen to the conclusion of this game and the fourth quarter upcoming. It should be a good one. Only a 4-point game. Michigan leading 14-10 on the strength of a Chris Evans 10-yard touchdown run back near the middle of the third quarter.
And one more way to listen to us is that you could go to our Twitter. If you can't find the YouTube or the website, you can go onto Twitter, twitter.com/WCBN Sports, and find a link that we tweeted to the YouTube broadcast earlier in the game. It should be in our tweets today. And if you're not following us on Twitter already, you should anyways. And just one more way to hear our coverage.
Not only hear our coverage, but read all the interesting blogs. I'm sure we'll have posts up on this game and all your future Michigan football games. You have a lot of new members here at WCBN Sports, very excited to get involved. You'll be seeing their writing up on the WCBNsports.org blog soon, so be sure to check those ones out at the conclusion of this one, or maybe even during timeouts here. Go over, check out a blog, see what's interesting you on WCBNsports.org.
Absolutely. Even if you have found the YouTube or the website, might as well give us a follow anyways and see all the great content we post there. The attendance has officially been announced, 60,042.
Yeah, we mentioned that earlier. The first sellout for Purdue since 2008 when they played Indiana. That was Joe Taylor's last game here at Purdue. So Purdue trying to get the fans fired up here between the third and fourth quarter. It has been noticeably more quiet from the Purdue fans since that Chris Evans touchdown run. And it just feels like Michigan really sees the momentum here. They're moving the ball on offense and really nothing at all being done by the Purdue offense against a Michigan defense that really came out and adjusted well to all the misdirection. It's just playing their style, their fast, aggressive style at this point.
Absolutely, and the offense has to feel great right now with the safety blanket of a 4-point lead and Quinn Nordine. It's worth noting they're right on the 38-yard line, so if they were to not gain any more yards in the next two plays, they would be looking at a 55-yarder from Quinn Nordine, which is his season long, which we saw just make it over the crossbar in that Florida season opener.
While we're on the topic of official announcements, Wilton Speight officially announced out for the game, but the way John O'Corn looks, don't think they're going to need him much in this ballgame today. He's under center with Poggi and Evans in the backfield at I formation. Behind him, one tight end and a wide receiver split out to either side of the formation. He will hand it off to Evans, who goes up the middle, now cuts right and is met in the backfield there. It looked like it was Jawan Bentley, the linebacker, swarming through the hole and stopping Evans for a gain of about no yards. I think he might have gotten back to the line of scrimmage very close there. Might have lost a yard on the play. Now it's a little bit tougher for Michigan here. About a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8 upcoming.
Yeah, they spotted the ball at the 40. It looked to me like Evans reached the 39 before being punished by Bentley. We'll see what they can draw up here to maybe make it a shorter field goal for Nordine or get the first down.
Now no running backs in the backfield. 2 split out wide. It's Peoples-Jones and Evans. 3 to the left. It's Crawford, Perry, and it looks like Gentry in the slot. O'Korn all by his lonesome in the backfield. Takes the shotgun snap, drops back to pass now. Purdue rushing floor, finds down on Peoples-Jones off to the right side. Peoples-Jones trying to get out towards that first down marker. It's at the 32. Did he get there? The spot looks to appear just short, maybe. We might have a measurement here. This looks just on the line. And indeed, they do give down on Peoples-Jones the first down at the Purdue 32. He was forced out by Marcus Bailey on a very close play there.
And he was forced out of bounds right by the first down marker, so I think he knew exactly what he needed to get.
Michigan running fast now. 2 wide receivers to the left, 1 to the right. Gentry, the tight end, tight on the left side. Isaac, the running back in the backfield. It's handed off to Isaac now. He starts left, cuts right, goes up the middle, and is going to get about 3.5 yards on that play. Swallowed up in the middle by TJ Jallo, the safety, coming up to help and run support. So about a 2nd and 7 upcoming for Michigan. Driving in Purdue territory here at the Purdue 29-yard line. Clock ticking away, just over 13 minutes left here in the third quarter.
Eubanks comes off the field. It looked like they had 12 in the huddle, but they've addressed that issue.
And we are going to get a flag here as Michigan still had 2 main men on the field. Evans still hadn't run off. Jim Harbaugh is livid on the sideline. We will get an illegal substitution call. Chris Evans was the last one to come off. Look at that, was that Eddie McDoom.
Yeah, that's really a careless mental error you cannot be making in the fourth quarter of a tight ball game. 13-12 remaining, so there'll be time for Michigan to make up for that mistake. But really just not something you can afford to do in a situation like this.
Instead of a 2nd and 7, it's a 2nd and 12 now at the Purdue 34-yard line. Michigan shooting themselves in the foot a little bit here. O'Korn comes out now. 1 wide receiver split up to each side. Peoples-Jones to the right. Perry to the left. McEwen tight to the formation, and he jumped a little bit there. That's going to be a false start. I saw it. It didn't look like they were going to call it, but the Purdue defense adamant about calling the false start there on McEwen, who couldn't quite hold his stance long enough. Not to be another 5-yard penalty, and Michigan just started going backwards here on this drive.
And 2 pre-snap penalties have now put the Wolverines outside the Quinn Nordine field goal range. They, of course, have a 2nd and a 3rd down play to try to get the first down or at least make it a closer field goal. But as it is right now, they're at the 39-yard line, 2nd and 17.
So, yeah, 2nd and 17 now here from Michigan. They come out, 1 wide receiver off to both sides. The same formation with McEwen to the left. Khalid Hill in the backfield. Isaac, the running back behind him. O'Korn drops back to pass, finds a seam in the middle of the field. It's McEwen over the middle. He's going to get all the way down to the Purdue 16-yard line for a first down. What a pass there. Threading the needle is John O'Korn.
Fantastic pass by O'Korn. He's really showed a lot of poise today. I think his confidence has grown tremendously. He had a shorter pass for a wide open Khalid Hill, but instead he threaded the needle and perfectly hit McEwen between 3 defenders.
So now a first down Michigan at the Purdue 16-yard line in the red zone yet again. They're 2 for 2 on the day, something we're not used to seeing out of this Michigan offense this year. We'll see what they decide to go to here. It looks like a heavy set. 2 tight ends. Khalid Hill, the fullback. Isaac in the backfield. Donovan Peoples-Jones split out to the left. O'Korn now pitches to Isaac going left. He's going to try to find a hole, bounce it outside, but he's going to get absolutely nothing as he is forced out of bounds there.
And a flag throw and back by about the 9-yard line where only Boilermaker defenders ever were. So interesting to see what this call will be. It's away from the ball.
9-personal foul.
It looks like we're going to get a personal foul on Donovan Peoples-Jones here. Shot block there, block below the waist. So that's going to send Michigan back 15 more yards. The theme of this drive, Michigan getting something going and then going right backwards on penalties.
And right there, yeah, exactly as you said it. This time it's a penalty occurring during the play, which I'm sure Harbaugh will prefer over pre-snap penalties. But now, with their red zone woes so far this season, I have no idea how they're going to make up 25 yards here on 1st and 25 from the Boilermaker 31.
As you mentioned now here at 1st and 25, Michigan with a long way to go here. They actually haven't moved the box on the far sideline. Just now moving that into position as they move the ball spot finally. Both teams out all the way back where the ball was about to be spotted. They were just missing the ball. So Michigan comes out with an empty backfield here. 3 split out wide to the right, 2 to the left. O'Korn all by his lonesome. Purdue showing pressure here. We'll see how the Michigan O-line handles it. They do send pressure. O'Korn drops back and goes over the middle towards Gentry. Gentry He's twisting and turning and makes the grab all the way down to the Purdue 5-yard line. That is a first down on 1st and 25.
And there's a flag down in the backfield. O'Korn is kneeling. We'll see what this is in a second.
Couple of flags back there. We have a personal foul, roughing the passer on Purdue. And we also have a targeting call on Jawan Bentley. That could potentially be a huge play here. Bentley, the star linebacker for Purdue, if he is ejected from this ball game, all of a sudden that running game for Michigan opens up so much more.
Bentley is their leading tackler. He had 24 going into the game. That's 8 per game, and I'm sure he's added on about 8 so far today. He's been all over the field.
He's got 5 on the day so far. We'll see what the call is. According to Jeremy Parks here, he expects a targeting call to be upheld here. The last one we saw was confirmed.
And Purdue is taking themselves out of the game by taking out some of their best playmakers on defense with these targeting calls. And that also, a side effect of that late hit, already a big play putting the ball inside the 10 with the catch by Zach Gentry. The ball is now placed at the 3-yard line. Regardless of whether or not targeting is overturned, it will still be a late hit, and the penalty will be assessed. It only determines whether or not Jawan Bentley will remain in the game, which could be more important, honestly, for these Boilermakers.
That definitely looked like a targeting from the replays to me. He launched up right into the face mask of John O'Korn. A costly penalty there by the senior, Jawan Bentley. Just not a smart play at all. He could have just had a roughing the passer. It wouldn't have been quite as impactful if he goes low and hits O'Korn right about the hit zone. You want to hit between the shoulders and the knees. And it is indeed confirmed. Jawan Bentley, the second Purdue player ejected from this ball game. And really, there shouldn't be much argument. That was a clear-cut definition of a targeting call there. Huge loss for Purdue. We'll see if they decide to attack the middle of that Purdue defense now there.
Yeah, 1st and goal at the 3-yard line, and now the Boilermakers are down. They're possibly their best run stopper.
This will be the redshirt senior Garrett Hudson to sub in for Bentley, as the Purdue fans not happy, but I imagine if they see the replay a little bit closer, they will understand why he was ejected from this ballgame.
And this is still a packed house. I don't think anyone has been leaving their seat at all so far today. With an extremely close game, the Wolverines might open up the first 2-score lead of the entire ballgame.
Looking to do so as they come out 1st and goal from the Purdue 3-yard line. They come out with a heavy set, 2 tight ends, a couple wide out split, 1 to each side, and Ty Isaac in the backfield. Wouldn't be surprised to see a pitch play here. Isaac's so good on those finding holes. And so they're going to give it to him up the middle. He cuts to his left, tries to get some room, and he's going to make his way down to about the 2, maybe the 1.5-yard line, depending on how they spot this ball. He was swallowed up by a host of Purdue defenders. The chief most is Garrett Hudson, who is right in the middle replacing Bentley.
Yeah, Isaac tries to stick the ball out, but he ends up only putting his hand forward, no ball. So ball at the 1.
Michigan
2.
Running quickly now, 2 tight ends to the left along with Crawford. They hand off to Isaac. He starts left and cuts right, and he's in the end zone for a touchdown. Michigan opening up a 2-score lead. Now here's Ty Isaac was able to break through the tackle of Denny Izachuku and fight his way into the end zone. It's 20-10 Michigan, pending another extra point here from Quinn Nordine.
And a powerful run. He ends up standing up on 2 feet into the end zone as he just overpowers the Boilermaker defense. 3 for 3 now in the red zone are the Michigan Wolverines.
A far cry from the 1 for they had so far on the season, the first 3 games. Quinn Nordine now looking to make this an 11-point game with 10:36 remaining in the 4th quarter here. He snapped from Cheeseman, hold from Moores, and Nordine puts it right through the middle of the uprights. The score 21-10 in favor of the Michigan Wolverines here at Ross-Ade Stadium, fighting off the Purdue Boilermakers here in what has been really a great game so far, but Michigan starting to maybe show that talent advantage as they begin to pull away just a little bit in this one.
Yeah, you have to wonder, Michigan with the more highly recruited athletes, maybe they're just a little bit better fit for this game. It's really dragged out. It's been an incredibly hot day. I'm sure that wore out both teams. And I think perhaps Michigan is just the more physical and stronger team, and that's really worn down Purdue at the end of this game. And, of course, the 2 targeting calls in the second half are a huge factor into the fact that Michigan has finally been able to move the ball consistently in the second half.
Of course, those 2 targeting calls really opening things up for the Michigan offense. But now, more importantly, coming up here on this next drive is going to be the Michigan defense. So far in the second half, just downright stingy. Purdue has not been able to do just about anything. They actually have negative yardage totals. They have -4 yards here in the second half. The Michigan defense doing an absolutely fantastic job adjusting to the misdirection we saw out of Purdue in the first half. The quarterback scrambles, the little plays they were picking up chunk yardage was Purdue in that first half. Michigan defense really adjusting, playing a lot more discipline. It's a much different discipline. We talked about discipline last week against Air Force. You have to stay in your lanes against that triple option. A much different kind of discipline here against Purdue. You have to be always watching the backside of plays as opposed to just filling in the lanes when the run is going.
Absolutely. In that Air Force game, really, the defense had to stay on their man and make sure they didn't get beat. Now they really have to keep an eye on their man, but still be certain to make sure that no player has snuck by them, which they have on a few occasions, but otherwise an incredibly disciplined Wolverine defense so far today. And I do believe we have a top 10 score report for you. Michigan obviously trying to avoid falling as a top 10 team today, but the 6th-ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys, they did fall to TCU earlier today. TCU obviously being ranked 16, so not a huge upset.
I don't mean to brag or anything, but last night on our extended extra point edition, I was the only person to pick TCU in that ball game last night.
And props to you, Austin, because Oklahoma State, looked just unbeatable after they just dismantled Pitt last week. I don't think many people saw this coming. It was a 44-31 victory for TCU, 2 scores. And now TCU has to feel amazing. They're undefeated and beat a team that everyone thought looked unbeatable last week.
We could talk about the rest of college football at a later time. Right now, it looks like they're getting back out on the field for another kickoff here for Michigan. It will be James Fogg kicking off once again. Back for the Boilermakers. It looks like it's Anthrop and DJ Knox back to field. So Fogg now ready, takes his leap before he runs up to kick the ball. Fogg, that big leg, he almost gets to command a touchback whenever he wants to. And right here, this one is going to soar near the back of the end zone. Anthrop's going to field it, and he will take it out. Not sure if that's the smartest decision, but he will go right, and he gets an edge. He's going to be forced out around the 20-yard line of Purdue. So about a loss of 5 yards from if he would have taken a knee in the end zone there. A bit of a questionable decision. Worked out for Anthrop and the Boilermakers, I guess. Could have been a lot more disastrous.
Yeah,
Ambry Thomas, who found a lane there, been able to get around to get to Anthrop a little bit quicker.
Anthrop did show, he justified the return at least somewhat as he was explosive after catching the ball, but questionable decision. And I think it shows how much the Boilermakers respect the Michigan defense because they're trying to find ways to move the ball, not on offense.
So with 10:32 left here, Purdue switches quarterbacks yet again. It's David Blau in the ball game. He's got 5 wide here, 3 to the left, 2 to the right. Of course, those tight ends are the ones closest to the formation. Noah Furbush showing pressure for Michigan. He does not come. Instead, it's Khalid Hudson, and Blau's going to take a deep shot there. And what a play there by David Long. He was getting absolutely hounded by the wide receiver on that play. It was Anthony Mahungo who was the intended receiver, and he was just yanking down David Long.
And it turns out I was exactly wrong about how Purdue would use their quarterbacks. I predicted that Elijah Stedelman would stay, or Sindler would stay in the game the whole time. And now when they're down, I thought it was especially Sindler's time, but Blau is in the game now.
They did go to Sindelar in the Louisville game when they were behind. Instead, it's Blau now. He fakes the handoff, now passes right. That's going to be caught by Terry Wright. He makes his way out to about the 25-yard line. 5-yard gain on the tunnel screen that Purdue has used several times today. He's brought down by Mike McRae after a 5-yard gain. It'll be 3rd and 5.
And I think it's been commendable how the Wolverine defense has tackled so far today. Mike McRae was a little bit behind the receiver, but still grabs him around the waist and brings him down.
So another big 3rd down upcoming here for Purdue. They have 4 wide receivers out there, 3 wide receivers and a tight end, all bunched pretty close to formation. 1 running back in the backfield for Blau. And he is pressured here, gets the throw off. He's intended for Wright, who goes in and out of his hands. He was covered on the play by Mike McRae as he was running off to Blau's right. Levert Hill also there.
And I don't think it mattered if Wright was able to bring that ball in because Levert Hill was all over him and would have brought him down before the chains either way.
And it looks like on that play, Terry Wright goes down on the Michigan sideline. McRae tried to help him up on the sideline over there after the incomplete pass, but Terry Wright needing a bit of medical assistance. Hopefully it's just cramps. We've seen a couple of players go down today, be able to come back in the ballgame. Of course, that intense heat, especially earlier on near the beginning of the ballgame, it was over 90 degrees, the game time temperature, the heat index felt. I think at one point it did top triple digits, got up into triple digits around 102-ish. So hopefully that's just the effects of not quite being hydrated enough, and it looks like Terry Wright is going to be okay. He'll walk on his own power back to the Purdue sideline.
And I think that's something both teams of athletic trainers were thinking about going into the game, how hot of a day it was. I'm sure they've been trying to rotate players a bunch today, given how hot it is, and that can really bode poorly for injuries. But it looks like Wright has rejoined the play, in fact, and he will be out here to cover the punt.
He's trying to, but the referee is not allowing it. When you receive medical attention, you have to come out for at least one play unless your team calls a timeout. So we'll wait for Wright to get off the field. He's normally a gunner on the punt coverage team here. He will not be out there this time, as it'll be Joe Shopper to punt again here for Purdue. Donald Hebels-Jones once again back to receive. He's been held in check for the most part by Shopper, and the really great job by the Purdue coverage team thus far today. Now the snap to Shopper. He's ready to kick. Michigan a little less aggressive there on the return. Donald Hebels-Jones looked like he might have another chance to return as he was going back, but he fair catches the ball at his own 23 or 24. There's a booming kick there by Shopper. Pretty much flipped the field exactly. He went from the 25 of Purdue to the 24 of Michigan. Absolutely fantastic job there by Shopper.
And I think Peoples-Jones may have returned that if it was a different situation in the game. But right now, Michigan, as long as they don't make mistakes, they have to feel pretty confident with riding their amazing defensive performance so far today. Peoples-Jones had a little bit of room. But once again, a great punt by Shopper. Most returners would not ever think about returning that, but Peoples-Jones, we've seen so far this season, if he has a little bit of room, he tries to turn that into a touchdown.
So with 9:39 left here, we'll have another TV timeout. Michigan offense getting a chance to get back on the field here. Both of Michigan's last couple of drives have ended in touchdowns. And really ever since the beginning of that second half, they had a smaller drive there. It was 6 plays, 27 yards. Only last about 3 minutes. They kind of got shot in the foot with penalties on one of those drives. Of course, the fumble that gave the ball back to Purdue. Ever since then, the Michigan offense looking dialed in. 11-play drive and a 9-play drive on their last two, taking up a combined over 10 minutes of game time. They'd really like to put together a nice grinding drive here if they can. Just chip away at that clock and try to get out of West Lafayette here with a W, currently leading 21-10.
There's plenty of time left on the clock, and you really can't ask so much from the defense every single game. The offense definitely wants to carry their weight for once today and really run this clock out. The defense has been fantastic. Really just gave up the one touchdown drive, which was built off of big plays. It only took 1:49 of game time. And outside of that, the only other points they've allowed were off of what was set up by an interception and a good return. So really, you can only fault the defense for 7 points. It'll be a fantastic performance if they hold Purdue to 10. They don't have to, though. They can let Purdue get up to as much as 20. But I don't think that's the game plan at all right now.
I think the Michigan offense has a different plan. I think they want to march down the field here and make that a little bit even more of a cushion there. Make sure the defense can get up maybe 27 if they really want to. I'm assuming they don't really want to, but if they have to, we'll say.
Absolutely. And they come onto the field now. You have to imagine we'll see a lot more run plays, but I think they'll keep it interesting because the game is still far from over. 9:39 to play.
The stands emptying out a bit, though, as it looks like the student section in particular for Purdue beginning to see a lot of empty bleachers and a lot of flow of traffic out to the south side of the stadium as Michigan ready for this next drive at their own 24-yard line. There'll be 2 wide receivers, 1 split out to each side, 1 tight end, Gentry tight to formation, Khalid Hill in the backfield with Chris Evans behind him. O'Korn still under center, barking out signals here as he diagnoses the defense. Khalid Hill goes in motion towards the right, fake to Evans. O'Korn now looking to pass. Instead, he's going to flip to Evans right in front of him, and it looks like there's going to be a penalty. I'm going to guess illegal forward pass there. O'Korn might have been across the line. He came close a couple times today, and that time might have been the one that cost him 5 yards.
Yeah, I think Harbaugh would have preferred O'Korn just keep it and burn some clock. Instead, the clock will stop, and Michigan will have to march backwards yet again.
So, indeed, it is an illegal forward pass there on John O'Korn. He was scrambling right up the middle, had Evans almost as a lead blocker for him up the middle. Evans wasn't really looking to catch a pass as soon as he saw O'Korn start to scramble. He had maybe 10 yards. He could have probably gotten a first down on that if O'Korn decided to run. Instead, that little flip play, a bit perplexing there, and it sets Michigan back 5 yards. It'll be 1st and 15.
I think you're spot on. I don't think Evans at all anticipated having to catch a ball there. He didn't look prepared whatsoever. His head was not turned towards O'Korn.
Michigan has been dominating the time of possession. 31 minutes to 19 for Purdue. Comes out with two tight ends here, wide receiver and the fullback Hill in the backfield. Chris Evans behind him. Chris Evans now gets the handoff running up the middle behind Khalid Hill. He's able to get about 3 or 4 yards on the play before he's swallowed up.
And another reason why that time of possession stat is so important, Austin. Going into this game, Purdue was 12th in time of possession on the season, and Michigan really has just held the ball all game today.
So 2nd and 12, maybe 2nd and 11 for Michigan here based on the sticks from their own 23-yard line. Clock ticking down now, about to eclipse the 9 minutes left mark in the fourth quarter. Michigan still in a formation with two tight ends towards the right. Khalid Hill on the offside eye towards the right with, once again, Chris Evans in the backfield. Rather, Ty Isaac, he takes it. It's a rollout, actually, from John O'Corn, a straight quarterback run rollout, and he's able to break a couple tackles and fight across the Purdue 30. Did he get the first down out to the Purdue 34? He did. He got all the way out to the Purdue 30, or rather the Michigan 34.5-yard line. A great run there by John O'Corn on the straight quarterback rollout.
Well, it was a fantastic play. I'm sure Harbaugh was not feeling great through that play. He took on so many defenders and risked the 3rd turnover of the day. And Kakoa Crawford is down right now, being attended by medical staff.
And Justin the Reaper here, definitely looked like a cramp. It looked like he came up lame as he was trying to block on that left side.
Obviously, no non-contact injuries can be scary. A situation like that, we really don't know what the injury is, but given the heat today, we can all hope it's a cramp and not a long-term injury. Yeah,
based on the replay there, it didn't look like Kakoa Crawford went down in a heap like you would normally see out of a non-contact, like a knee injury there. It looked like he more kind of came up lame, maybe with the hamstring or the calf there as it tightened up on him mid-play. He is indeed stretching that left leg out, it looks like, as he's helped to the sideline a bit. And looks to be a cramp. We'll hope that all it is. That's all it is for Crawford's sake and for Michigan's sake.
I think it's an encouraging sign that Crawford not only walked off on his own power, but he kind of hopped up when he was getting up from the ground. So hopefully no long-term injury. And I think Michigan is comfortable enough right now with their lead to not put him back in. They did run the play clock down to 4 seconds before snapping on that last play with a really great run by O'Corn. He just outran a few defenders and just trucked over the last few to get those last few inches he needed to gain the first down.
Yeah, Michigan has that shoe clock button pressed in their Madden game right now. They're getting in the huddle and taking all the time they possibly can before snapping the ball. They still have 30 seconds here on the play clock with about 8:30 left to go. We'll see just how much they run off. And O'Corn now pointing at the play clock. He's not sure. He's saying that he's just going to let it run down here.
Absolutely. I think he was talking with his O-lineman right there, just about how much time they want to waste.
Yeah, it's telling them not to get down and into their splits just yet, because once they go down, if they jump up, it's going to be a false start. Just tell them to relax here. Still got 10 seconds on the play clock. Now they will go down. There's two tight ends, one to each side, two wide receivers split out right, and Ty Isaac in the backfield, single back behind O'Corn. He hands to Isaac. Isaac bounces it out towards the left. He's going to get about 2 yards before being chased out of bounds. That's a late hit on Purdue. Well out of bounds there. Try to get the number on that one. It might have been Garrett Hudson there flying all the way over from that middle linebacker spot. We'll see. Dewan Hunt was also in the area. We'll see who they call it on. It was going to be a modest 2-yard gain for Isaac, and he was going to go out of bounds. But now it looks like it's going to be 15 yards for Michigan and another first down as they look to extend this drive.
Personal foul. Defense, number 13. 15-yard penalty.
And that is going to be a late hit out of bounds, and Purdue continues to shoot themselves in the foot in this second half with all these late hits and unnecessary personal fouls that continue to just lengthen Michigan drives. There's now 8 minutes on the clock, and you have to imagine Purdue will not be getting the ball back until there is at least under 6. The clock is now ticking, 7:55 with 20 to go on the score clock, game clock, play clock.
It was Jalen Robinson, the younger brother of Michigan's Glenn Robinson III, basketball star at Michigan, and the reigning slam dunk champion in the NBA. Michigan now comes out. One tight end, one fullback. It's Poggi offset to the left. Isaac in the backfield. DPJ comes in motion. Now it's handed Isaac up the middle. He tries to find a hole there. Dances a bit. He's only going to get about a yard or two on the play before he was swallowed up. Might look like TJ McCollum.
Good composure there by Purdue. This drive has really not gone the way they expected, but they responded well there. They held their ground, and we see that Robinson is now back on the field. I'm sure he got an earful from his coach.
Clock just keeps ticking away, about to eclipse the 7-minute mark here in the fourth quarter. Now Michigan, the jumbo formation, 2 tight ends on each side of the formation. McEwen was lined up in front of Poggi, who's in front of Evans. Now McEwen motions over towards the left. It's a handoff to Evans going left. He finds a hole, and he has speed, and he's going to break this one. He's at the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10. Will he be caught? No, he won't. That is a touchdown. Chris Evans, touchdown Michigan, 49-yard run, and Michigan may have just put this one out of reach. 27-10 with 6:46 remaining in the game.
Austin, I think we just witnessed the nail in the coffin. That really feels like it put the game away. Much like last week when we saw Michigan break off a big run at the end of the game. Of course, a lot more time left in this one, but it's going to be an 18-point lead, assuming Quinn Nordine remains perfect on extra points.
We have no reason to believe he won't be, as long as a solid snap and a solid hold by Pete Mortel, holder of the year, Garrett Moores. This one should be going straight through for Michigan's ace kicker. And it does indeed go right down the middle of the uprights. The lead now 18 points as Michigan leads 28-10. As I said, 6:46 left remaining here in West Lafayette. Time running out for the Boilermakers. It's a 3-score game now, and really a tough situation for head coach Jeff Brown's Boilermaker squad.
And Nordine, who has in many ways become the star of this team and captured a lot of people's attention, doesn't get to add to his second best in the nation, 11 field goals on the season. However, I'm sure he loves the way this game has gone, given that he has not had to come out following red zone drives. The Wolverines 3 for 3 today, improving to 4 for 13 on the season when scoring a touchdown with the ball in the red zone.
Just a fantastic job, like you said, finally converting for that Michigan offense today. And the stands really starting to clear out here at Ross-Ade Stadium. Even the Michigan side starting to look a little sparse. People try to beat the traffic home, but especially that Purdue student section, which now is probably less than half full. It started the game just absolutely packed and raucous. Now they start to sense here that this one might just be over. We'll see if the Boilermakers can make any noise here on what might be their last gasp.
And I have to commend the Purdue crowd. They really got excited for this game. Purdue looked good in out-of-conference play. Had a lot of reasons to have high hopes for this season. Perhaps we're a little bit overmatched today, but the crowd really brought some noise at times, and they hung around until right about now when this game really looks inescapable. For that last drive, we saw people trickling, and now they're leaving en masse, but you can't really fault them for leaving an 18-point deficit with 6:46 to play.
Yeah, so Michigan now just looking to close this one out, looking to move to 4-0 on the season and 1-0 in the Big Ten. Be a great start for what looked to be a troubling game coming in against a feisty Purdue Boilermaker squad that's frankly much better than anyone expected coming into the season.
And one thing to note, we all knew that Purdue prided themselves in run defense, but Michigan has been held to 125 yards rushing even after that great 49-yard rushing touchdown by Chris Evans. This is a team that averaged 199.3 yards a game rushing going into this game. Obviously with Purdue and the way they play defense, it was going to probably give today. Nonetheless, a pretty good rushing performance. 125 is nothing to gawk at, and we still have time to play. And you have to imagine Michigan will run the ball every time they get it from now on.
Yeah, you imagine it's Michigan trying to run the clock off. We'll see just how quickly they get that ball back, as the vaunted Michigan defense is going to take the field here after the kickoff. It'll be James Foe once again kicking off, the kickoff specialist for the Michigan Wolverines. It's DJ Knox and Brian Langford Johnson back to receive for Purdue. They get the okay from the referees. Gold ready to kick off now, with 6:46 remaining in the ball game. Michigan up by 18. Fogue runs up, and this kick is going to be a little bit shorter than his last ones, maybe just a couple yards deep in the end zone, but looks like Langford Johnson just lets it bounce and is going to be content with taking the touchback there, starting Purdue off at the 25-yard line.
And despite some scares early in the game, I think Michigan's going to be happy with their start to Big Ten play. Obviously, they lost 2 of their last 3 games in the Big Ten, getting onto a better track to start this season. And they are looking at an 18-point lead, which is their second largest lead. Oh, if this score stands, it'll be their second largest margin of victory so far this season.
Hard to believe when it looked like maybe those cupcake games should result in some larger victories. We said 18 points would be the second largest margin of victory as Purdue comes out now. There was 2 wideouts to the right. Now he motions one over to the left, 1 tight end, 1 running back for Blau, and he is swallowed up in the backfield there, flying around the edge was Chase Winovich, and Maurice Hurst helped him clean it up there. It's a 5-yard sack for the Wolverines, 2nd and 15 for Purdue.
And that keeps the clock running. Purdue has got to score 3 times, and if they want to get back into this game.
David Blau hurrying them back up to the line. There's 3 split out right, 1 to the left, and 1 running back in the backfield. Of course, one of the ones split out to the right is the tight end Herdman, of course, one of Purdue's most prominent weapons so far on the season. The fake handoff here to Blau, and he finds Herdman over the middle in coverage against Devin Bush. There is a penalty flag thrown on the play. We'll see what that is.
Bryce Hopkins with the reception, and it took forever to bring him to the ground. It took about 5 Wolverines to finally force him down just across the first down marker.
Yeah, you had Devin Bush, Josh Metellus, Tyree Cannell all getting in on there. We have a penalty. I'm waiting to see what the call is. An awkward spot. I'm not sure if it's a defensive holding or something. A pass interference on Devin Bush. Not quite sure about that call, but it ends up being irrelevant anyways. Purdue will just take the gain. It ended up being about an 11-yard gain for a first down anyway, as opposed to the 10 yards they would have gotten for the penalty. So it will be 1st and 10 Purdue at their own 36-yard line, trying to stay in this ball game. Blau has 2 wide receivers off to the right, 1 to the left, 1 tight end tight, and a running back in the backfield. He fakes the handoff now rolls right. Devin Bush in pursuit. He tosses deep down the sideline and into the stands. He just wanted to throw that one away as Devin Bush was really bearing down on him hard as he ran towards that Michigan sideline.
And I don't think anyone can blame him. Devin Bush has terrified quarterbacks all season long. And really, Blau just did the smart thing and threw the ball when he knew that Bush was coming in hot on him.
Devin Bush, another sack today. I believe that puts his total on the season at 4.5. Just a great figure for a linebacker through 4 games in the season. So Purdue now 2 wideouts left, 1 to the right, 1 tight end just off the formation, 1 running back, and Blau is about to get hit by Maurice Hurst. He gets the ball off, but it is dropped. It looked like maybe Anthrop was the target,
and I think
that was Corey Holmes, his first target of the day.
And I think we saw Bush triple teamed on that play, which allowed Hurst to get in the backfield and disrupt Blau. Really not much you can do as an offense. I mean, you can try to triple team players who are disruptive, but they're all disruptive on this Michigan line, and there will be pressure regardless.
And maybe a late hit there on Maurice Hurst. It was pretty well. It takes that big man a long time to stop moving when he's flying around the center and the guard like that. He is so quick. Now Purdue comes out 3 wide receivers to the right. Now motion 1 over to the left where the tight end is standing. Fakes the handoff in the backfield. And Blau under pressure again. Chase Winovich just flies around the edge on the left tackle. We pointed out at the beginning of the broadcast, Grant Herman's a potential problem spot, and Chase Winovich making the Purdue offense pay. A huge sack there puts Purdue in a 4th and 17 there.
And there's just too many problems on this Michigan defense for Purdue to contain. Winovich, Bush, and Hurst all causing huge problems on that last series.
And the Michigan defense getting a huge hand from the Michigan contingent over by their sideline as Purdue readies to punt yet again for the day. They have not done anything in the second half but punt, it seems like, as Joe Shopper boots it away towards Donovan Peoples-Jones. He goes back. He calls a fair catch again, possibly returnable, but as you mentioned earlier, not really a situation we're going to risk anything. He'll just take the fair catch and the ball at his own 17-yard line.
No, not at all. And Michigan did solve the red zone issue on offense today, but still the offensive line looked incredibly suspect at times, and perhaps worst of all, they lost the turnover battle yet again, unless some turnovers happen, garbage time turnovers happen here. They lost 2-0 on the turnover battle with a fumble and an interception, and that's really something that it's alarming. However, the defense has shown they're so good. Michigan can afford to lose a turnover battle, which is how a lot of good teams lose games when they lose the turnover battle. Somewhat encouraging that the defense can really neutralize losing the turnover battle, but Michigan's offense cannot afford to continuously turn the ball over while the defense hasn't generated a whole lot of turnovers so far this season.
Worth noting, we said that defense really can't consistently do this. However, if you look at the drive so far in the second half for Purdue, 3 plays, 1 yard, punt. 3 plays, 3 yards, punt. 3 plays, -3 yards, punt. 3 plays, 5 yards, punt. And 5 plays ends up only being 3 yards on that last drive thanks to the sack and yet another punt. This Michigan defense has just cranked it up to a whole nother level in the second half, which is something I'd imagine Wolverine fans like to see continue throughout the season, just a continued escalation of this team playing at a high level. It has the talent You just got to wait for the execution, the discipline to really set in to make this team a potential national title contender with that defense.
And I think one thing that's, speaking of national title contention, one score that is going to be brought up a lot today after this presumable Michigan victory is the result of the Purdue-Louisville game. Louisville, obviously a ranked team. They took their first loss of the season against Clemson, but that's Clemson, the defending national champs. So Louisville is still ranked 19th, and Purdue kept it a one-score game with them. At a neutral site, Louisville defeated Purdue 35-28. Right now, it's 28-10 for the Wolverines, and they came to Purdue, and their defense has put up this amazing display. And I think that shows Michigan has a very strong edge over Louisville as it is right now. Louisville, not a prime elite contender for the national title, but a ranked team nonetheless. And this performance has really been establishing Michigan as a top 10 team so far today.
Yeah, Louisville, of course, that fantastic offense led by former Heisman Trophy winner from last year, Lamar Jackson. And like you said, Michigan almost able to equal that output in points. Granted, it was the very first game of the season. A lot of times you see teams go through tune-up sessions from week 1 to week 2. But really just impressed how Michigan's able to come out here in the second half and just pretty much do whatever they want to do. Aided by a couple penalties by Purdue, but for the most part, just really grinding things out. They're over 400 total yards on the day as they set up here in a bunch formation, 3 tight ends, Poggi and Evans in the backfield behind John O'Corn. It's a handoff to Evans, goes up the middle, cuts it back to the right, where he is swallowed up. It was the linebacker. It's Josh Okonye. Looked more like TJ McCollum to me from up here. I guess it was Okonye coming in from his cornerback position, coming down, making a play, stopping Evans for a minimal gain of 2, 2nd and 8.
And as Michigan just waits in the huddle, burning more clock, don't expect this ball to be snapped until there's under 5 seconds remaining on the play clock, as now they finally head to the line with 12 to go.
About 10 seconds on play clock, 4:20 to go in the ball game. It's that same bunch formation this time. Ian Bunting moves from right to left. Poggi and Evans still in the backfield. Handoff to Evans going left. He finds a little bit of a crease there and gets maybe 3 yards out to the Michigan 22. So we've got 3rd and 5 with 4 minutes remaining in the ballgame.
Purdue definitely will not be seeing the ball until under 3:30 remaining. That really is just not enough time to make up for a 18-point deficit. That's 3 scores. And I think Michigan has to be feeling great, and the Michigan fans are feeling great about this. Really, you can only see maize and blue left in the crowd. It's a little bit of Boilermaker black and gold.
Okay, really the far side then that we can see is barren of black and gold, and like you said, full of maize and blue. Michigan now brings a wide receiver in on this set, but still 2 tight ends, and the fullback, it's Ben Mason back there now as he hands off to Ty Isaac, but nothing going as Ben Mason tried to open up a hole. Ty Isaac able to fight for maybe a yard or 2 on that one. It's going to be 4th and 3, maybe 4th and 4, depending on how the spot goes here. And Michigan's going to have to punt for the first time in what seems like a while.
I believe it's the first time this 4th quarter. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It is the first time here in the 4th quarter, the first time since about 12 minutes remaining in the 3rd quarter. They've only punted once in the second half. That was the very first drive that they had.
This punt will not be snapped until there's under 3 to go. In fact, we've already eclipsed that 3-minute mark.
So Brad Robbins will punt. Will be Anthrop back to receive for Purdue. He's at about his own 37-yard line. Ball snapped with 1 second on the play clock. Robbins gets it up here. Anthrop looking to make something happen for Purdue. Catches at his own 35 and falls down. Maybe got the ball out to the 36, depending on how they spot it. Not sure if he's going to try to do anything or if that punt maybe crossed him up, but he just kind of slipped and fell down at about the 36.
Yeah, kind of an awkward punt recovery there for him. Looked like he may have tripped. I mean, really, there's no reason not to try to return it at this point. Your team needs a big play, and the Michigan defense has shown the ball will not be moved against them.
So maybe one last chance to see this Michigan defense in action. It's really a treat for these Wolverine fans. It seems like every time the defense comes out, you want to see something happen, and most of the time they deliver. This time it won't be from Devin Bush, it looks like, as Mike Robleski makes his way in the game along with Aubrey Solomon on the line. Purdue's going to run a little jet sweep going right here. That's the wide receiver, Terry Wright, going out, and he loses the ball. It's recovered by Michigan at the Purdue 43-yard line, and that's just about going to seal the ball game.
And Michigan finally forces their first defensive turnover of the game. They didn't have a turnover against Air Force except for the garbage time interception that ended the game. And once again, another garbage time turnover. And that's really the only criticism you could possibly think of this Wolverines defense. They haven't forced a ton of turnovers. They did when they needed to against Florida. But I think a large part of that is that defenses are too scared of them to really run too risky of plays.
It was Josh Metellus forcing the fumble that was covered by Michigan. And we have a quarterback change for Michigan here with 2:30 left. Don't think we're going to see him throw the ball. But Brandon Peters under center now for Michigan. And we also get our first look at Kareem Walker in the backfield. So Peters under center now. 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. He hands off to Kareem Walker out the middle. He is swallowed up, but able to fight for about 2 yards there.
And it's our first look at redshirt freshman Brandon Peters. I don't anticipate really getting to see him throw whatsoever. Nonetheless, an exciting moment for Wolverine fans looking at the probable quarterback of the future for at least the season.
And Brandon Peters making his debut. Kareem Walker also making his debut. We saw him in the spring game. I want to say it was last year, 2 years ago, and hasn't really resurfaced since. Now it's Peters with 2 tight ends and wide receiver. He's got Ben Mason, the fullback, and Kareem Walker in the backfield on a 2nd and 8 from the Purdue 40. 1:50 remaining in the ballgame. Peters takes the snap now, hands to Kareem Walker going up the middle. He stutters, steps for a second, then fights forward. There was a no hole at all, but he pushed the pile forward for about 2.5 yards there. Make it about a 3rd and a long 5 for Michigan.
And this has to be a pleasant sight for the several thousand Wolverine faithful still in attendance today. They have not been able to see the backups so much so far this season, given that a lot of games have stayed close into the 4th quarter. So a treat to see what the future of the Wolverines holds.
So Michigan, again, still taking their time, milking that clock. 1:15 to go in the ball game here. Anticipate Brandon Peters running that play clock all the way down. It's at 5 right now. 2 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. Kareem Walker still in the backfield. He hands off to Walker again. He cuts left now. He's trying to bounce it outside, but can't quite get out there. He is stopped at the 35-yard line. It will be 4th down for Michigan. We'll see if maybe they try to get Quinn Nordine a long field goal, work on those long field goals here in a bit of garbage time.
Yeah, just give him some more playing experience and really understand what his range is. But the offense has stayed on the field. Peters is marching back out there.
They're going to try to convert here and just put this game out of reach here. There's about 42 seconds left, 20 seconds left on the play clock.
If they convert, they'll be able to go into victory formation and end the game on the next play.
Now Brandon Peters under center here. Still Kareem Walker. 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. The same personnel they've had out there this whole drive. It's actually a little flip out to Maurice Ways. He reaches out and gets the first down to the Purdue 31-yard line. So Brandon Peters, 1 for 1 in his Michigan career. Perfect completion percentage. He gets the first down here to Maurice Ways. That's going to end this ball game.
Yep, no snap necessary. I was wrong on both accounts. There will be no final snap here. And we did get to see Brandon Peters throw. A little bit shaky, a little bit ahead of the receiver, but nonetheless, he is 1 for 1. Perfect passer rating. Well, not passer rating, but perfect passing completion percentage for Brandon Peters.
So as the clock hits 0, Michigan gets out of West Lafayette with a win over the Purdue Boilermakers. The final score 28-10 in favor of the Wolverines. And Daniel, really a tale of 2 halves in this game. The first half, a little shaky for Wolverines. The second half, absolutely dominant by the squad in maize and blue.
Certainly, I mean, I don't think any Wolverine fan anticipated to feel this relaxed come the end of the game. This was a close game well into the 4th quarter, and then Michigan finally put it away with the big Chris Evans run and a kind of self-destructive drive for the Boilermaker defense that made it 21-10 when they just could not stop committing personal fouls.
And I think if you're looking at a player of the game, specifically on the Michigan offense, it's got to be John O'Korn coming in after Wilton Speight got hurt. He goes 18 for 26, 270 yards, had a touchdown and the 1 interception that bounced off Grant Perry's hands, so really not even his fault on that one. Just a great job there by O'Korn. Also was able to scramble, pick up some yardage that way, and keep plays alive, which proved crucial, especially when the game was closer in that 3rd quarter.
Yeah, it really appeared to be a perfect storm for a Boilermakers upset. But with Tariq Black not playing today and John O'Korn having to come in at relief, O'Korn did not have a great game when he had to come in for relief for Wilton Speight last year against Indiana, but he was a much more composed passer today. Looked down the field way more than he did in that Indiana game last season. I would definitely agree with you. He had to be the Wolverine player of the game, was put in a tough situation and responded fantastically.
So that's going to do it here from West Lafayette, Ross Age Stadium. Just an absolute wonder to visit here. And we saw a pretty solid game on our hands here. Again, Michigan taking this one by a final score of 28-10. They will move to 4-0 on the season. Purdue drops to 2-2. Michigan 1-0 in the Big Ten. Purdue 0-1.
And I'd like to thank the Purdue Boilermakers for this fantastic welcoming reception we've had all throughout the day. Really a pleasure to visit them.
Definitely. If you have a chance, we're hyping Purdue up here, but if you have a chance, definitely come down and visit all the renovations. Extremely nice stadium, extremely nice area here. We enjoyed our time, but that's going to do it here for WCBN Sports. Jeremy Parks, Chris Pickler, Daniel Thompson. I am Austin Falco signing off with a good night and, of course, a Go Blue.